Chapter 3084. Just now, his power of virtue had advanced very quickly, but when it reached the intermediate dominator level, it slowed down. After absorbing the power of virtue transformed from an earthly sovereign evil spirit, he hadn't advanced to the level of an upper-level sovereign. While this surprised Night Sorrow, he also knew that the path to the power of virtue's advancement required him to kill a large number of evil spirits. As soon as this thought flashed through his mind, Night Sorrow shouted, "Brother Whitebrow, I'm here to help you." He realized that Bai Mei Sanren was slightly passive in his fight against the evil spirit. The evil spirit that Bai Mei Sanren was dealing with could actually increase its strength a second time. It was more powerful than the one that Night Sorrow had killed. Night Sorrow didn't expect that at this moment Bai Mei Sanren would say, "There's no need to help. I've reincarnated from the previous era. I don't lack methods. Dealing with it is a piece of cake." "Okay, then I'll help you. At the same time I'll study the path ahead." When Night Sorrow heard Bai Mei Sanren say this, he knew that he definitely had the confidence, so he didn't help. He summoned Little 7, Little 9, and the pair of restriction-breaking hammers. He said, "Let's study the surrounding environment together." Even with the sea serpent's eye activated, Night Sorrow couldn't see very far. To him, the place in front of him was complete darkness. The only thing he could see clearly was the area where the battle had just taken place. "The strength of the perception barrier here is too strong. I can't see what's around me," Little 9 said helplessly after being summoned. Not long after, Little 7 and the restriction-breaking hammers also gave feedback. They couldn't see anything either. Here they were like people who had been locked in a dark room but didn't know where they were. Uncomfortable. Really uncomfortable. Night Sorrow released his spirit power to investigate, but he couldn't find any direction. It was as if the mountain was high and the clouds were deep, and he didn't know where he was. Since he couldn't find anything, Night Sorrow turned his attention to Bai Mei Sanren's battle. In terms of strength, the white-browed wanderer was weaker than the evil spirit in front of him, but just as he said, he had a lot of tricks up his sleeves. Often, he would be able to turn danger into safety and counterattack in a seemingly passive situation. After about 2 hours, Bai Mei Sanren completely killed the evil spirit in front of him. I've gained a lot from this battle." After killing the evil spirit, Bai Mei Sanren laughed and said, "Brother Yi, I'm not feeling well. Quickly let your white jade cleanse me." He had been fighting in the fog for a long time, so it was natural for him to be corroded. Hearing this, Yishang smiled and said, "We probably won't need the white jade." Sanren Kuei Sanren's power, Sanren of light, dragon Sanren, Sanren of virtue, Sanren surrounded by the golden dragon of virtue. The black gas around white-browed wanderer was completely dissolved. Amazing. Is this the legendary power Sanren of virtue? Bai Mei Sanren asked doubtfully after the black gas on his body was cleansed. "Yes, it's the power Sanren of virtue. It has the same effect as the white jade," Night Sorrow replied. He didn't hide anything from Bai Mei Sanren. This was the respect he deserved. "That's great. It's a pity that the power Sanren of virtue is something that can only be found by chance. Brother no longer has the chance to pursue it." Bai Mei Sanren smiled and continued, "Brother Night Sorrow, how's the search going?" "Not much. It's completely dark here. We don't even know how many pairs of eyes are watching us in the dark." Night Sorrow told him the truth. This place should have been set up by a heavenly supreme. He couldn't see through it at all. "Since that's the case, why don't we just keep going forward? If we encounter evil spirits again, we'll just fight. What do you think?" Bai Mei Sanren said without hesitation. "Sure. As the saying goes, the brave are fearless. If there's no path, we'll just have to fight our way out." Hearing this, Yishang nodded. Then he took off the white jade and handed it to Bai Mei Sanren. "Brother, I have the power of merit to protect me. You can keep the white jade with you for the time being. If we get separated, you won't lose your mind completely. Then I'll do as you say." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Bai Mei Sanren did not hold back. However, after receiving the white jade, he said, "Brother Night Sorrow, this is a huge gift. I have nothing to give in return. You will have the priority to choose any item we find in the fog." "Brother, you're too polite. If we get something good, we can discuss it later." Night Sorrow replied indifferently and continued to walk forward with Bai Mei Sanren. However, as they walked, they were stopped by a mountain. "What's going on? There's a mountain in this tomb?" Being blocked, Whitebrow Wanderer immediately asked in confusion. Night Sorrow, who had activated the sea serpent's eye to observe, was shocked and said, "Oh no. Brother, get out of the way. This is a huge evil spirit." Okay. Bai Mei Sanren responded and used his movement technique to hide in the distance. Night Sorrow saw that the evil spirit was a towering beast. They were blocked by one of the beast's legs. He used the mysterious sky secret shadow to dodge. Under his intentional control, he did not pull away from Bai Mei Sanren. Just as the two of them began to dodge, the giant beast lifted its thick and sturdy legs and stomped towards the two of them. What kind of evil spirit is this? What a huge leg. The giant leg of the evil spirit was so huge that they could not see the end of it. Bai Mei Sanren, who was dodging, found that he could not dodge at all. He immediately shouted, "Brother Night Sorrow, I can't dodge this leg. I'm going to attack directly." "Okay. In that case I'll attack too. Let's work together to get rid of it." Hearing Bai Mei Sanren's words, Night Sorrow immediately took out the golden heavenly halberd and the fire and beacon smoke diagram. He threw the fire and beacon smoke diagram into the void, wanting to affect the giant evil spirit. As for the golden heavenly halberd in his hand, he directly thrust it upwards. Night Sorrow did not use any unique skills in this attack, but it was still very lethal. The evil spirit was in so much pain that it lifted its giant leg directly. "Good move. Watch me." Seeing Night Sorrow's spear make the evil spirit raise its foot, Bai Mei roared loudly and used the iron rod in his hand to smash it upwards, creating a loud clang. Whoa! After being attacked continuously, the evil spirit was obviously angry. It let out a ghostly wail. This wail was much louder than Night Sorrow and Bai Mei Sanren's. It was many times louder. With Night Sorrow's physical strength, he actually felt as if his eardrums were about to explode. It was very uncomfortable. And this evil spirit's sound wave attack seemed to be endless. It had no intention of stopping at all. "You're not done crying? Watch me smash your head." This kind of ghostly wail affected a person's mind. The evil spirit continued to let out ghostly wails. Bai Mei Sanren soon could not take it anymore and began to attack fiercely. Clan M. Chapter 3085. However, Bai Mei Sanren flew for a long time, but he didn't see the giant evil spirit's head. What welcomed him were 8 giant tentacles descending from the sky. When these tentacles were waved, they were the size of mountains. In comparison, Bai Mei Sanren seemed rather small. He wasn't even as big as the suckers on the tentacles. However, this didn't affect his attack power. He looked like he was invincible with a metal rod in his hand. He smashed the evil spirit's tentacles fiercely. "Ah, brother is mighty." Night Sorrow shouted from below. He also rose into the air to help Bai Mei Sanren fight against the giant evil spirit's tentacles. "We are both earthly sovereigns, but why is this tentacle monster so difficult to deal with?" Bai Mei Sanren, who had been waving his metal rod for a long time without breaking the tentacles, quickly frowned. He realized that the tentacle monster in front of him was many times stronger than the earthly sovereign evil spirit that he had killed. It felt invulnerable. This tentacle monster's defense is amazing, but its other aspects are very ordinary. We have some patience and we will kill it eventually. Night Sorrow said in surprise when he felt Bai Mei Sanren's emotions suddenly become agitated. Kill. 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 However, after Night Sorrow finished speaking, Bai Mei Sanren suddenly became even more manic. Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye to take a look and realized that his eyes had turned blood red. His entire body was emitting a strong aura of hostility. What's going on? Bai Yu, didn't I ask you to protect brother Bai Mei? What's wrong with him? Realizing that something was wrong, Night Sorrow immediately sent a message to Bai Yu. He was hit by something that the evil spirit's tentacles spat out, causing him to lose his mind and fall into a state of madness. It has nothing to do with the fog. Bai Yu immediately explained to Night Sorrow that it wasn't its fault. Something that the suckers spat out? When Night Sorrow heard this, he immediately became alert and surrounded himself with the power of merit. The power of virtue he currently controlled was at the level of an intermediate dominator. Directly attacking an earthly emperor-level evil spirit was not particularly effective. It could only be used as support. There really is something spewing out. Yishang had just enveloped himself with the power of good karma. The giant evil spirit's tentacles suddenly spat out a large amount of things at him. What was spat out was not liquid, nor was it mist. Instead, it was a large amount of vicious energy. This evil energy was red in color, and it contained a large amount of emotions such as killing, bloodthirsty, and world-destroying. If it weren't for the power of merit blocking it, Night Sorrow would have been hit as well. So it's these things. After confirming what the tentacle monster had spat out, Night Sorrow immediately used the Dragon of Virtue on Bai Mei Sanren, allowing the Dragon of Virtue to purify the evil aura on his body. He was entangled by the Dragon of Virtue. Baimei Sanren's blood-red eyes gradually recovered, and so did his mind. What's wrong with me? I don't have any strength in my body. I can't condense any divine origin energy. Baimei Sanren, who had recovered, did not even have the strength to fly. As he spoke, he directly fell downwards. You were hit by the tentacle monster's secret technique and used up all your divine origin energy. At the same time Night Sorrow replied, he kept Baimei Sanren into his space grotto heaven, and let Qin Qingyun help him retrieve resources to help Baimei Sanren recover. He himself was completely engaged in battle with the giant evil spirit. In the process of battle, Night Sorrow discovered that the strength of this evil spirit's body was at an abnormal level. Even his golden heavenly halberd's divine spear was unable to penetrate it. The only good thing was that this tentacle monster's greatest ability was spitting out vicious energy. This move was completely useless against Night Sorrow. In the following battle, Night Sorrow relied on his annoyance to slowly fly to the top of the tentacle monster's head. He completely destroyed its dragon-shaped head. This process lasted for a total of 10 hours. After killing it, Night Sorrow was so tired that he almost collapsed. He thought to himself, this is only the third earthly sovereign evil spirit, and it's already so difficult to deal with. Little Seven said that there were more than 100 evil spirits. It seems like this trip is going to be difficult. As he thought to himself, Night Sorrow's body completely absorbed the power of virtue that the evil spirit had turned into. This time, Night Sorrow could clearly feel that his power of virtue was not far from the upper dominator level. He immediately understood how to break through the 100 Spirits Gate. That was to use battle to nurture battle. Through battle he would strengthen his power of virtue bit by bit. Finally, he would rely on the power of virtue to break through the 100 Spirits Gate. Brother Night Sorrow, it's all thanks to you this time. Otherwise I would have been killed. Baimei Sanren, who had recovered a little, said with lingering fear. The giant evil spirit just now didn't seem to have any ability, but it suddenly exploded, making it impossible to guard against. If Night Sorrow didn't have the power of virtue protecting him, the two of them would definitely have been killed. I'm also lucky to have the power of virtue protecting me. Otherwise I would have also been killed. Night Sorrow said modestly and began to recover. This time he used about 3 days to completely recover. However, Baimei Sanren didn't completely recover. Therefore, Night Sorrow continued to lead Baimei Sanren forward. At this moment, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast suddenly said, Night Sorrow, can you let Little Seven give me all the things it absorbed? I'll discuss it with Little Seven. Night Sorrow knew that the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, who had been cultivating all this time, had a great use for it. You can give it to him. I don't care about these things. Little Seven, who had just absorbed a lot of evil spirits, handed them all to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. After absorbing all of them, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's strength suddenly increased by leaps and bounds. I still need to absorb some more to reach the peak of the half-step earthly sovereign level. When I advance to the earthly sovereign level, I can fight side by side with you. The earthly sovereign evil spirits in front of us are too strong. I'm no match for them now. After absorbing all the resources, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast was close to the peak of the half-step earthly sovereign level, but it had no intention of coming out to fight. This was because, with its strength, it was useless to come out and fight the earthly sovereign evil spirits. Yes, the 100 Spirits Gate is still long. If nothing goes wrong, you should be able to advance to the earthly sovereign level here. When that time comes, you can reach the sky in one step. However, you have to remember that our future opponents are not earthly sovereigns, but heavenly sovereigns and ultimate sovereigns. Don't be complacent when you advance to the earthly sovereign level. As Night Sorrow responded to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, he held the spear in one hand and continued to walk forward. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast said, Don't worry. I won't be satisfied so easily. That's good. I'll give you some heavenly sovereign laws in essence. Try to absorb them. It can let you comprehend some heavenly sovereign laws earlier. As he spoke, Night Sorrow handed a small spirit to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast for it to absorb. As soon as this was done, Night Sorrow once again heard the cries of evil spirits. Clan M. Chapter 3086. This time, the ghostly wail sounded like a woman's wail, and it sounded rather sorrowful. When Night Sorrow heard it, he found it difficult to calm down and felt extremely uncomfortable. He immediately condensed the power of merit to stop the ghostly wail. This ghostly wail is really unbearable. After feeling a little better, Night Sorrow said, "Brother White Brow, you haven't completely recovered yet. Leave this battle to me." Sigh. "I'm useless. But if there's any danger later, I'll still help." Baimei Sanrin sighed. He originally thought that his cultivation level was higher than Night Sorrow's and that he would be of great help on this trip. He did not expect that he would be unable to keep up with the pace of the battle as soon as it began. "It's serious. This time it's just my power of merit that played a special role. It's not that I'm not capable enough." Night Sorrow comforted him. Sigh. Baimei Sanrin sighed and did not continue speaking. Chen Qingyun saw Baimei Sanrin's expression and laughed. "I think Night Sorrow is a living legend. We look the same as him, but we're actually different. In this era he's destined to be the main character. Although he's not particularly strong now, one day he'll stand at the top. Don't compare yourself to him." "Ah, now that you mention it, I'm relieved." Baimei Sanrin laughed and began to pay attention to Night Sorrow. At this moment, Night Sorrow was still walking forward. He did not choose to fly. Instead, he walked step by step in the direction of the ghostly whale without retreating half a step. As he got closer, Night Sorrow finally found out where the ghostly whale came from. The target in front of him should have been a female cultivator when she was alive. At this moment, she had turned into a walking corpse, and her face was pale as if she had been smeared with powder. Behind the female ghost, there were nearly 100 ghosts at the level of Supremes. The female ghost was wailing, and these ghosts did not dare to make a sound. They all obediently submitted as if they were waiting for orders. "Living humans, don't enter." After noticing Night Sorrow, the female ghost looked up at him and spat venomously. "Strangers are not allowed to enter? What great resentment. I advise you to reincarnate as soon as possible." The female ghost in front of him was different from the few that Night Sorrow had encountered before. The few that he had encountered before were completely walking corpses. Someone had used a secret technique to generate a new soul from their corpses, or in other words, spiritual intelligence. This female ghost, on the other hand, had a normal soul. She must have been transformed into this by someone using a secret technique when she was about to die. He felt like he was neither a human nor a ghost. "Reincarnation? I won't give you the chance. Go to hell." There seemed to be something in the female ghost's throat. She howled hoarsely and waved her hand. "Kill him. I want you to reincarnate. Since you don't want to, then accept the fate of having your soul destroyed." 100 ghosts attacked. Night Sorrow roared and held the golden heavenly halberd in his hand. He slashed out a ray of light in the direction of the 100 ghosts' attack. This ray of light is not only the attack of the golden heavenly halberd, it is also mixed with the power of virtue. After being hit by this ray of light, many evil spirits let out miserable howls. In front of Night Sorrow, these supreme-level evil spirits simply couldn't resist at all. Realizing this, the female ghost, or rather, the demoness, raised her head to the sky and howled. She soared into the sky and transformed into boundless resentment that charged at Yishan. "Night Sorrow, be careful. This move is called Demoness Howl. It is not simple. It is best not to block it head-on." Originally, Night Sorrow wanted to use the power of virtue to block this move. However, at this moment Little Nine suddenly transmitted her voice over. She reminded him that this move is not simple. However, during a battle, it can reverse the situation in a single breath. Little Nine did not have time to explain in detail. "Alright. I choose to dodge." Facing this demoness howl, Night Sorrow immediately used the mysterious sky secret shadow after receiving Little Nine's reminder and flashed far away. In an instant he was out of the opponent's attack range. Kill, 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 kill. After missing its target, the female ghost appeared again. Her eyes, which were already glowing with green light, were now filled with even more hatred. She continuously roared the word, "Kill," 7 times. Then she disappeared into the void again. Even if Night Sorrow used the sea serpent's eye, he could not see her figure. It is the female ghost 7 kill art. This move cannot be dodged. You must choose to block it head-on. If you dodge, the strength of the female ghost will increase infinitely. Because this move is to use the fear in the opponent's heart to increase her strength. If you choose to dodge, it means that you have fear in your heart and it will help her increase her strength. At this moment, Little Nine once again transmitted her voice to remind him. "Alright, I will listen to you." This time, Night Sorrow once again chose to believe Little Nine. As time was tight, he did not have time to ask Little Nine how she knew all this, but he still did as she said. He released the power of merit and let it surround his body to block the female ghost's attack. However, after a long time, The surrounding evil spirits had already pounced on him, but the female ghost still did not appear. She did not appear, which means that her strength did not increase at all. This move was easily broken by you. Night Sorrow and the 100 ghosts fought for a long time. He had already killed all the evil spirits and turned them into power of merit and absorbed them into his body. The female ghost still did not appear. Little Nine, who was in the space grotto heaven, said confidently, "This time it is all thanks to your knowledge. Otherwise, how could you break her mysterious attack so easily?" Night Sorrow continued to transmit his voice while he was on guard. He was telling the truth. This time, if Little Nine had not seen this before, he would have been able to dodge the female ghost's attacks continuously. Who knows how powerful the female ghost would be? Die. Night Sorrow had just finished transmitting his voice when the female ghost's roar came from the void again. The word die was filled with endless hatred. What's the meaning of this move? Night Sorrow asked Little Nine again. This time Little Nine was stunned for a moment before saying, "It doesn't seem to be anything special. I can fight with my full strength now." Alright. Hearing this, Night Sorrow immediately rose into the void and activated the Treastrimsa battle secret technique. With the golden heavenly halberd in his hand, he fought against the female ghost. At this time the female ghost's 2 killer moves had missed. It was obvious that she was at her wit's end and could only rely on her strength to fight. She was an evil spirit of the Earth Sovereign level and was not weak. However, she could not gain the upper hand against Night Sorrow. With the help of the power of merit, Night Sorrow quickly killed her and absorbed the power of merit that she had turned into. At this time, a divine soul filled with murderous intent suddenly appeared in the void. Night Sorrow looked up and saw that it was the woman's divine soul. What's going on? Shouldn't her divine soul be destroyed? Night Sorrow remembered that he had already killed her completely. He could not understand why a divine soul would appear in the void. Clan M. Chapter 3087. After the female ghost turned into a divine soul, her face was full of pain and struggle. She cried and laughed at times, looking very strange. What's going on? Do any of you know? Night Sorrow saw the scene in front of him and immediately asked. Maybe her divine soul has been invaded by the evil aura. She wants to reincarnate, but she can't do it. Little Nine, who was in the space cave, transmitted its voice to Night Sorrow. However, it was not sure. At this moment, the female ghost's divine soul suddenly said, "Please, I beg you, kill me. No matter what, seeing her in so much pain, you should help her free herself." Baimei Sanrin transmitted his voice when he saw the divine soul floating in the void in pain. Obviously, he was moved by compassion. "I'll try my best." The female ghost's divine soul and Baimei Sanrin both wanted Night Sorrow to kill her. At this moment, Night Sorrow responded. He condensed golden merit power and tried to purify the female ghost's divine soul. Night Sorrow, who originally wanted to give it a try, found that the purification was effective. Soon, the female ghost's divine soul's ferocious expression gradually calmed down and finally became peaceful. "Thank you, benefactor. May I know your name? If I can recover my memory in my next life, I will definitely serve you as your servant." After the female ghost regained her consciousness, she immediately bowed to Night Sorrow. "My name is Night Sorrow. You don't have to repay my kindness. In your next life, don't reincarnate in the mist area." Night Sorrow said slowly, without any intention of being arrogant. "I was a cultivator in the Eternal Supreme World when I was alive. I hope to appear in the Eternal Supreme World again in my next life." The female ghost said and then asked, "How did you get trapped in the 100 Spirits sect?" "We saw that this was the tomb of a heavenly supreme and heard the sound of fighting. We felt that there was an opportunity, so we came in." Night Sorrow did not hold back. He believed in the female ghost's divine soul in front of him. "Benefactor, this is a trap set by an evil spirit of a heavenly supreme. He had lured many cultivators here to absorb their strength and strengthen himself. This little girl was refined into an appearance that was neither human nor ghost. The evil spirits in the 100 Spirits sect were all raised by him." The female ghost sighed. "What? There was such a thing? How does a heavenly sovereign level evil spirit compare to a true heavenly sovereign?" When Night Sorrow heard the female ghost's words, he broke out in a cold sweat. His strength is naturally not as strong as a heavenly sovereign, but he should be stronger than a half-step heavenly sovereign, the female ghost said slowly. Then his goal is to absorb the power of cultivators. Why did he create so many 100 Spirits gates? If a cultivator enters, can't he just make a move? Yishang asked doubtfully after thinking for a moment. I'm not sure about that either. It's possible that he's under some kind of restriction, so it's not convenient for him to make a move. The female ghost analyzed, but she wasn't sure what was going on. I know what happened. At that moment, Little Seven, who was in the space cave, sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. It's very simple. I feel that this evil spirit set up the 100 Spirits Gate in order to find a powerful body for itself. He wants to possess the body. Because he is a heavenly supreme, he has high requirements for the body. Hence, he set up the 100 Spirits Gate as a trap. Needless to say, those who pass through will be possessed by him. Now that you mention it, that might be the case. So, what should we do next? When he heard Little Seven's words, Night Sorrow felt a chill run down his spine. If he had not met the female ghost and purified her, he would not have thought that there was a conspiracy in the 100 Spirits sect. He would have thought that it was an opportunity left behind by the tomb owner. This is really not easy to deal with. Unless you continue to cultivate here and wait until you can resist him before leaving the 100 Spirits Gate. Otherwise you will die either way. Little Seven said helplessly. Although the evil spirit was only a heavenly supreme, his strength was not to be underestimated. He was definitely not someone that Night Sorrow or Baimei Sanrin could resist. I came to the foggy area to increase my strength quickly. How can I continue to cultivate here? That's not possible. Night Sorrow immediately retorted. He did not have the time to cultivate here for a few eras or even a few reincarnations. Then what can we do? Little Seven said bitterly. He felt that the calamity was coming and staying by Night Sorrow's side was the best choice. He did not want him to be possessed by the evil spirit. My idea is to continue to fight and increase my strength during the battle. Night Sorrow pondered for a while before continuing. At that moment, the female ghost continued, Benefactor, do you think you should continue to fight? Yes. I am prepared to continue to fight. No matter what, it is better than being trapped in the 100 Spirits Gate forever. Night Sorrow said truthfully. As for the merit power, he would not reveal it. If you want to continue to fight, I can tell you something. The evil spirits here are all afraid of fire and light. If the intensity of the fire or light is high enough, it can even weaken the evil spirit by 90%. The female ghost used to be a member of the 100 Spirits Gate, so she naturally knew some of their weaknesses. After saying that, she continued, Another thing is that there is a very powerful evil spirit here. It is about the same strength as an upper earthly sovereign. It is very close to being a half-step heavenly supreme. It is hiding at the exit of the 100 Spirits Gate. As long as you defeat it, you can leave the 100 Spirits Gate. You must be careful of it. Its trump card is its eyes. You must be careful of its eyes. Thank you. Night Sorrow thanked the female ghost when he heard that. The fact that the evil spirit was afraid of fire and light was a great help to him. Benefactor, you are welcome. If there is nothing else, I will be reincarnating. The female ghost bowed to Night Sorrow again before she turned and left. Night Sorrow said, Rest for 2 days and then continue to fight. When the time comes, let's see if the flames are useful. He remembered that during the battle, the merit power and the golden heavenly halberd had released light. However, it did not seem to be of any use. He guessed that if the female ghost was right, the light was not bright enough. Therefore, he was prepared to use the phoenix fire in the next battle. Brother Yishang, I've basically recovered. Let's fight together. When Night Sorrow encountered the next batch of 3 evil spirits, Baimei Sanrin, who was in the space hollow, was afraid that he would not be able to take it. Knowing that Whitebrow Wanderer hadn't recovered, Yishan smiled and said, Brother, don't worry. Although there are 3 evil spirits, there are 3 of them. Although there are 3 evil spirits, I have the phoenix fire. I should not be afraid of them. After replying, Yishan flew into the void and used the raging inferno demon on the 3 earthly sovereign evil spirits before him. Within the flames, there was the scorching phoenix fire. Chapter 3088. As the raging flames burned the entire void red, the phoenix fire suddenly turned into 3 fire phoenixes. As they screeched, they attacked the 3 earthly sovereign evil spirits. Amazing! This is the real phoenix fire. Baimei Sanrin, who was in the space hollow, exclaimed in admiration when he saw Night Sorrow use the phoenix fire. At the same time, the 3 earthly sovereign evil spirits, who had been charging at him aggressively, immediately fled as if they had seen snakes and scorpions. Just like what the female ghost had said, they were very afraid of fire. Trying to escape? How is that possible? Merit Trap Array. Divine Origin Trap Array. Fire Beacon Smoke Diagram. Seeing that the three earthly sovereign evil spirits were trying to escape, Night Sorrow immediately used his various techniques. At the same time, he used the Phoenix Fire to launch a fierce attack on one of the earthly sovereign evil spirits. He immediately used the Godly Spear. This time, the Godly Spear was filled with a very violent light. Boom! When Night Sorrow's attack hit the earthly sovereign evil spirit's huge body, there was a loud explosion. The earthly sovereign evil spirit was instantly enraged. However, under the illumination of the flames, it couldn't release its original strength. Soon it was completely killed by Night Sorrow and converted into merit energy. The other two earthly sovereign evil spirits had not escaped from the trap array. Night Sorrow used roughly 30 breaths of time to successfully kill all of them and convert them into the power of virtue. Using this method to attack is indeed twice the result with half the effort. The battle is so easy and enjoyable. However, how much has your merit energy increased? Do you have a chance to reach the sovereign level? Baimei Sanrin asked with a smile in the space hollow. Night Sorrow had fought the battle so easily, so he asked in a relaxed manner. Hearing this, Night Sorrow pondered for a while and said, "After absorbing a few more, I will advance to the level of an upper dominator. I am still quite far away from the sovereign level. It is really difficult to advance the merit energy. I hope that when you walk out of the 100 Spirits sect, you will have the strength to fight against the evil spirit behind the scenes. I definitely can't do it. In the past, I was just a supporting character." Baimei Sanrin said with a smile. "Let's hope that I can advance my power of virtue to the level of a sovereign." Night Sorrow did some calculations and realized that it was impossible for his virtuous energy to reach the level of an earthly sovereign in the 100 Spirits sect. He only hoped that after he reached the utmost exalted level, he would be able to fight against the evil spirit behind the scenes with the help of the flames. At the very least, he needed to be able to escape from the enemy's grasp. "If you can successfully leave this graveyard, I'm willing to sacrifice myself to you." At this point, White-Browed Wanderer sighed. He was still optimistic about Night Sorrow's chances in the upcoming calamity. He felt that he was the destiny of this era. "Ah, brother, you don't have to do this. Just an evil spirit, how powerful could it be? You recuperate first, I will continue to battle with the evil spirit," Night Sorrow said and continued forward. Soon he encountered another earthly sovereign evil spirit. After using a flame attack, he quickly killed it again. After killing this earthly sovereign evil spirit, Night Sorrow's power of virtue successfully advanced to the level of an upper-level sovereign. Although it was a small advancement, Night Sorrow felt that his power of virtue was several times stronger, and he felt more comfortable being surrounded by it. Night Sorrow, congratulations on advancing your power of virtue to the level of an upper-level sovereign. After Baimei Sanrin, Little 7 and Little 9 finished congratulating him, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast's voice suddenly sounded. "Weren't you absorbing the heavenly sovereign rules and essence? You're done so quickly?" The chaotic heavenly crystal beast spoke. Night Sorrow was very surprised. This was because the speed at which he absorbed the heavenly sovereign rules and essence back then was extremely slow. However, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast had only disappeared for a short period of time before reappearing. "Ah, perhaps I was born to devour these heavenly sovereign rules and essence. I absorbed them very quickly. Do you have any more? If I absorb another 10 times or so, I can advance to the level of an earthly sovereign," the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said without regard for himself. "Can you advance to the level of an earthly sovereign? Then will your primal chaos space become even stronger as your cultivation level increases?" After the chaotic heavenly crystal beast finished speaking, Night Sorrow asked. He had the heavenly sovereign rules and essence on him, but these things were prepared for cultivation, and he was reluctant to give them away. However, if the chaotic heavenly crystal beast could improve the chaotic space, it would play a key role in dealing with the evil spirit behind the scenes. Thinking of this, he was naturally willing. Then it will definitely improve, and it won't be just a little bit. Hearing Night Sorrow's question, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said confidently. "Okay. I'll believe you this once. I'll give you the resources. I hope you won't disappoint me when the time comes." As Night Sorrow spoke to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, he gave it a golden spirit. At this time he only had 3 of these golden spirits left. After giving one away, he still had 2 left. "Ah, this grade is much stronger than that blue one. Thank you. When the time comes for you to fight the evil spirit behind the scenes, I'll definitely do my best." After the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said this, it fell silent again. Obviously, it was going to cultivate. After that, Night Sorrow said to Baimei Sanrin, "Brother, You came from the previous era and are experienced and knowledgeable. Do you know any ways to deal with powerful evil spirits? If we're not strong enough, then we'll have to work on other aspects. I'm really not too sure about this. If I knew, I would have said it long ago. Baimei Sanren said helplessly. At this time, Little Seven sighed regretfully and said, if only the 8th level was here. The three of us could form a soul-suppressing pagoda and directly suppress that evil spirit. Are the 7th, 8th, and 9th levels that strong when combined? Hearing Little Seven's words, Night Sorrow asked doubtfully. After all, Little Seven and Little Nine were only earthly sovereign level divine artifacts. Although our 3 levels are all earthly sovereign divine artifacts, when combined they are very powerful. They will form a heavenly sovereign divine artifact. If all 9 levels combine, it will be an extreme divine artifact. However, Little Nine and I can only combine with the 8th level. There's no way to combine with the other levels. Little Seven said. Let's talk about this in the future. Let's get out of here safely first and then look for Little 8. Night Sorrow was still very interested in the fact that the combination of the 7th, 8th, and 9th levels could form a heavenly sovereign divine artifact. However, under the oppression of the evil spirit behind the scenes, how could he be in the mood to think about that? That's right. Let's continue fighting. Only by leaving this place alive can we have a future. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Little Nine sighed and said, actually, I know some clues about Little 8, but let's talk about this in the future. Clan M. Chapter 3089. Good. As long as there are clues. Everything will have to wait until we get through this crisis. Otherwise, everything is just empty talk. Little Nine said slowly. He also understood that the current crisis was not easy to overcome. It was just that even though he and Little Nine could provide some suggestions, they could not play the role of turning the tide. Since no one has any ideas, I will continue to fight. The 7th, 8th, and 9th levels of the Eternal Divine Tower could be combined into a heavenly sovereign artifact. However, the 8th level was not in the ancient tomb. Since no one could think of any other solution, Night Sorrow continued to fight with the evil spirits. At this moment he had already grasped the trick of fire and light attacks. Moreover, his power of merit was also gradually increasing. It was easy to deal with ordinary earthly sovereign evil spirits. 2 years later, Night Sorrow successfully killed the 55th evil spirit. His power of merit had also advanced to half-sovereign, which was the peak of the sovereign realm. He was only 1 step away from the sovereign realm. However, Night Sorrow, who had thought that he would break through quickly, still had not advanced to the sovereign realm after killing 99 evil spirits in the 100 Spirits sect. There is only 1 evil spirit left. If I kill it, I will not be able to advance my power of merit to the sovereign realm. I will not be able to fight against the evil spirit behind the scenes. As for the last evil spirit, Yishan didn't immediately fight it. Instead he stopped and talked to Baimei Sanren about it. His virtue energy was indeed on the verge of advancing, but it was completely unknown whether it would be able to advance after he killed the last evil spirit. If he was unable to advance after killing the last evil spirit, then the evil spirit behind the scenes would be summoned, and it would absolutely be a tragedy for him. In my opinion, why don't you take a break and try to raise your strength? After all, sharpening the knife will not delay the work of cutting wood. If you are not strong enough and go out rashly, everyone will die. Baimei Sanren said. Yes. I have the same idea, but I am afraid that it will take too much of everyone's time. I want to advance to intermediate sovereign here and then fight again. In that case, if my power of merit cannot advance, we will have a chance to escape. However, it will take many years. Night Sorrow said with a frown. At this moment he was carrying everyone's fate on his shoulders. Now that things had come to a head, he didn't want to take any unnecessary risks. If you say time is important, then it is important. If you say it isn't important, then it isn't important. By the way, how many years do you think you need to cultivate? White-browed Wanderer asked in puzzlement. He knew that the great calamity would arrive in about 10,000 years. If Night Sorrow still couldn't advance to intermediate supreme martial artist within 10,000 years, then everything would be too late. I'm not sure, but it should take at least 1,000 years. Night Sorrow said helplessly as he recalled the difficulty of absorbing the Heavenly Supreme's law and essence. 1,000 years. Although 1,000 years is precious, it is not as important as our lives. Cultivate in peace. I'll protect you. I guarantee that the last remaining evil spirit will not disturb you. Baimei Sanren promised to let Night Sorrow out. Little 7, Little 9, and the rest were also released to protect Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow, on the other hand, set up a formation and started to cultivate in peace. He was forced to do this because he had no choice. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast absorbed the heavenly supreme's law and essence very quickly, but it was very difficult for Night Sorrow to absorb. The progress was very slow. However, overall it was faster than Night Sorrow expected. After about 500 years, he felt that he was on the verge of advancing. After 600 years, he successfully advanced to Intermediate Supreme Martial Artist. In the Supreme Martial Artist realm, he had advanced by a small realm, but Night Sorrow's strength had increased greatly. After successfully advancing, Night Sorrow looked at Baimei Sanrin and said, "Brother, it was worth it to spend these 600 years. My strength has increased by about 5 times. As for the power of the Divine Spirit, it has increased by about 10 times. Great. The increase of the power of the Divine Spirit is the most important. If the evil spirit behind the scenes wants to possess you, your power of the Divine Spirit will play a crucial role." Baimei Sanrin and Night Sorrow were completely on the same boat. When he heard that Night Sorrow's strength had increased greatly, he was also happy. It is indeed very important. We have spent so many years in the ancient tomb. We should hurry up. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he put Baimei Sanrin, Little 7, Little 9, and the rest into the spatial grotto heaven. He continued to move forward and look for the evil spirit guarding the 100 Spirits sect. A few days later he found it in a lair. It was an evil spirit with a human body and an eagle head. The aura of this evil spirit was almost at the half-step heavenly supreme level, giving people an extremely strong sense of oppression. Seeing Night Sorrow enter the lair, it roared, "If I wasn't trapped in the lair by Master, I would have gone out and killed you long ago. How could I allow you to be so impudent there? Looks like you are much stronger than the other evil spirits. At least your consciousness is clearer." Night Sorrow sized up the evil spirit in front of him and felt that it was not simple. Although it was overflowing with murderous aura, it gave people the feeling that it was in control. It was not like the other evil spirits that had been completely enslaved by the murderous aura. What's the use of consciousness? What I need is power, and you are a great supplement for me. The evil spirit with a human body and an eagle head roared again. It flapped the wings on its back and flew into the air. It spat out a mouthful of purple flames at Night Sorrow. "Dragon of Virtue out." Night Sorrow roared and flew into the air. He held the golden heavenly halberd in his hand and immediately shot out the Dragon of Virtue. It bombarded the purple flames that the evil spirit spat out. At the same time he waved the golden heavenly halberd and shot out the fiery demon subduing flames. He let the phoenix flames burn the entire sky. "Ignorant. Do you think that I am afraid of flames like those low-level evil spirits? You are so wrong." The Dragon of Virtue successfully dissolved the purple flames of the evil spirit. However, the phoenix flames that Night Sorrow shot out were directly swallowed by the evil spirit. After swallowing it, the evil spirit smiled maliciously and said, "Pure, it is a great supplement for me. Continue to release the flames or I will eat you alive. Bastard. Watch me smash your bird head." Night Sorrow did not expect that the flames that he shot out would be swallowed by the evil spirit as a supplement. He was a little angry. He immediately activated the 33 Heavens battle secret technique. After advancing to the intermediate supremacy level, he could already use the 33 Heavens battle secret technique to the fullest. After increasing his strength, Night Sorrow shot out the divine finger at the evil spirit. Although this move was not as powerful as the divine spear, it was faster. Night Sorrow's finger pierced through one of the evil spirit's wings before it could react, causing it to cry out in pain. "You have hurt me." After its wings were pierced through by the divine finger, the evil spirit immediately became furious. Its body also emitted an endless amount of black gas. Clan M. Chapter 3090. This black gas was 100 times stronger than the killing aura of the other evil spirits. Night Sorrow had been affected for hundreds of years even though he had the power of merit protecting his body. He felt extremely uncomfortable. Night Sorrow thought to himself, "Looks like I have to end this battle quickly. If this drags on for too long, I'm afraid my mind will be affected." The corrosion of the evil aura in front of him was too severe. When he fought, he felt that his mind was very irritable. If he did not suppress it with all his might, he would have gone completely crazy. "You won't live for more than 2 hours." The evil spirit that had completely released the black gas no longer took the initiative to attack after the black gas took effect. Instead, it was locked in a stalemate with Night Sorrow. It was prepared to let the black gas naturally corrode Night Sorrow. He would become a walking corpse that could not control himself. Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "You won't live for more than 20 breaths." After saying this, Night Sorrow took out the fire beacon smoke diagram and summoned Little 7 and Little 9. He asked the two of them to help attack the evil spirit in front of him. Then he used the Divine Vitality trapping array on the evil spirit and used the Qingshen Divine Spear technique. Under the situation where he was extremely irritable, he launched a crazy attack on it. In the beginning, the evil spirit thought that Night Sorrow had become so arrogant because he was affected by the black gas. After fighting for a while, it realized that this was Night Sorrow's intention. Yi Shan wanted to kill him instantly in the midst of the storm. "You want to kill me in less than 20 breaths? Your way of thinking is too childish." The eagle-headed evil spirit realized what Yi Shan wanted to do and immediately laughed sinisterly. His laughter was in fact the terrifying cry of a ghost. It made people shudder when they heard it. However, this did not affect Night Sorrow's mind at all. At this moment, Night Sorrow only had one thought in his mind. That was to quickly kill the evil spirit in front of him. He knew that the longer he waited, the more obvious the corrosion of the black gas would be. Then, even if he could leave 100 Spirits sect, he would be greatly affected when he fought with the evil spirit behind the scenes. Die. Under the situation where the evil spirit with a human body and an eagle head was on the defensive, Night Sorrow performed the Qingshen Godly Spear technique and continuously used the Godly Finger. This level of attack was already the craziest attack he had ever launched. It was as if he had used all of his strongest attacks. He's clearly just an intermediate exalt. Why is his attack so powerful? The eagle-headed evil spirit that was fighting Night Sorrow was astonished when Night Sorrow completely unleashed his power. At the same time, he summoned a robe from the space grotto heaven. After the robe was summoned, it immediately covered an area of 1,000 feet around him. From the looks of it, it was like an additional layer of protection. Break. Facing the protective layer summoned by the evil spirit, Night Sorrow directly used the golden heavenly halberd to unleash the divine spear and penetrated it. With its defenses penetrated, the human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit instantly panicked. He didn't expect Night Sorrow's attack to reach such a level. There was no way he could block such an attack. At this moment, the human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit began to think about its various methods. After thinking for a while, it suddenly exploded all the black feathers on its wings, turning them into black gas. With the addition of the black gas, Night Sorrow, who was already affected by the black gas, suddenly felt even more uncomfortable. His eyes, which were originally clear and bright, turned red in the blink of an eye. His whole person also became even more manic. "No. I have to kill him in an instant. Otherwise this murderous aura will make me lose my mind." Night Sorrow knew that this black gas was getting more and more terrifying. It was already so terrifying that it could penetrate his power of merit defense. Therefore, the battle with this human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit must not be dragged on. At the crucial moment, Night Sorrow began to burn his own bloodline, increasing his strength by another step. Then, it merged with the golden heavenly halberd. Suddenly, it bombarded the human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit. This move, Night Sorrow, combined the essence of many unique skills. It was fast, accurate, ruthless and stable. The human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit had no way to dodge at all. Realizing that this move was too fast to dodge, the human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit immediately activated a defensive secret treasure on its body at the same time as it attacked, wanting to defend against this attack. However, all of this was futile. Night Sorrow, who had advanced to middle-level supreme martial artist, the attack power now was not something it could resist at all. Using the method of breaking all techniques with one force, it directly pierced through its chest. After piercing through the evil spirit's chest, Night Sorrow did not give it a chance to recover or escape at all. He continued to attack fiercely like a storm. Under his incomparably crazy attacks, the black gas around the human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit became fainter and fainter. In the end, it gradually lost its resistance and turned into golden power of merit. After absorbing the power of merit of the human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit, Night Sorrow's power of merit advanced to lower-level supreme martial artist as he wished. It was almost catching up to his cultivation. This was his greatest gain in the ancient tomb in front of him. It was even greater than the advancement of his cultivation. Purify. After Night Sorrow killed the human-bodied, eagle-headed evil spirit, he began to use the power of merit to purify the black gas around his body. Although the evil spirit just now was not as strong as him in terms of strength, that kind of black gas was very deadly. After purifying the black gas, Night Sorrow said worriedly, "The evil spirit in front of us in the Lark sect is already so terrifying with the black gas around him. When we leave the Lark sect and fight fiercely with the evil spirit behind the scenes, what kind of black gas will he release? We'll deal with it when the time comes. Anyway, when the time comes, we'll fight side by side. Let's strive to completely kill the evil spirit behind the scenes." After Night Sorrow recovered, Baimei Sanrin said. Beside him, Qin Qingyun sighed and said, "It's a pity that my strength is too weak. Otherwise, I would definitely do my part. It's good that you have the heart. The evil spirit behind the scenes is too strong. When he fights, you can't even stand steadily," Baimei Sanrin said with a smile. He knew how terrifying a heavenly sovereign was. Although the evil spirit behind the scenes was not a true heavenly sovereign, his strength had already surpassed that of a half-step heavenly sovereign. He was also a very terrifying existence. The evil spirit in front of us is already so difficult to deal with. The one behind the scenes must be even more difficult to deal with. I want to deduce a unique skill here. Then we'll leave the Lark sect. At this time, Night Sorrow said again. He then continued, "As for you guys, you can look around the Lark sect and see if you can find any opportunities. Now, for us, anything that can increase our strength is very important." "Okay, let's go and look around," Baimei Sanrin immediately replied. The space in front of them was pitch black. They had fought all the way here and had not properly looked around to see what was around them. Chapter 3091. He had fought his way through the 100 Spirits sect and finally killed his way out. Even the last guardian had been killed by him. Night Sorrow felt that there should be no more dark creatures here. Although the darkness was still there, the fog in the darkness had dissipated and would no longer corrode their souls. It should be fine for them to search for something. As for Whitebrow Wanderer and Qin Qingyun, they had left Yishang's position and were in the 100 Spirits sect. They held fluorescent stones in their hands and relied on the weak light to slowly search in the darkness. Both of them were rather nervous. Thus they were more cautious as they walked and their speed was very slow. Even so, in the end, the two of them still searched the entire 100 Spirits sect. This was because Night Sorrow had used 30 years to deduce the unique skill. They found that the 100 Spirits sect was actually in the shape of a door. However, there was no big exit at the bottom and it was sealed. Night Sorrow's position was at that point, which was the only exit. As for opportunities, they did not find anything. However, they found a few stone carvings on the stone wall of the 100 Spirits sect. Baimei Sanrin and Qin Qingyun did not understand what was going on with these 5 stone carvings. They had been waiting for Night Sorrow. They waited for Night Sorrow to walk out of the state of deducing the unique skill. Baimei Sanrin immediately said, "Brother Night Sorrow, have you been able to deduce the unique skill in the past few decades?" "It has been rather smooth. I've gained quite a lot. However, I am afraid that it will not be easy to fight against the evil spirit behind the scenes," Night Sorrow said truthfully. In the past 30 years, he had been deducing the unique skill of movement and strengthening his spiritual soul. He knew that if the evil spirit behind the scenes wanted to possess him and his spiritual soul was not strong enough, it was likely that he would be successfully possessed. However, he did not have a suitable spiritual soul secret skill. Hence he did not gain much. As for the unique skill of movement, he had gained experience from the Shantian secret shadow and some of the movement skills that he had mastered. He deduced the Shantian 8 steps that was suitable for him. When he executed the 8 steps of mysterious heaven, Night Sorrow would appear like 8 illusory figures in the eyes of others, making it impossible to tell which was the real one. Under his control, the 8 illusory figures were able to scatter freely, making it difficult for others to determine which one was the real one. This was the escape plan Night Sorrow had prepared for himself. When he encountered the evil spirit behind the scenes, if the evil spirit was too strong, then he would try his best to avoid fighting it. He would scatter into 8 figures and flee on his own, hoping to escape the evil spirit's pursuit. On the other hand, Baimei Sanrin heard from Night Sorrow that the derivation of the secret art was going smoothly. After congratulating him, he continued, "Qingyun and I found 5 sets of time in the 100 Spirits sect. We don't know what they are. Do you want to go and take a look?" "Fifth Vice Captain? Good. I'll go take a look." Then Night Sorrow brought Little 7, Little 9, the Restriction Breaker Hammer, Baimei Sanrin, and Qin Qingyun to the first painting. This stone inscription was very simple. It was a very primitive pattern. There were flowers, birds, fish, and insects carved on it. In the beginning, Night Sorrow did not see any clues. However, after he activated the sea serpent's eye, He immediately realized that this stone inscription was not simple. When he used the sea serpent's eye to look at it, he realized that the flowers, birds, fish, and insects on the stone had come alive. They swam around the stone wall, forming marks one after another. What is this? It looks like an array diagram? Night Sorrow observed quietly for about 2 hours before the flowers, birds, fish, and insects completely stopped. He realized that the things outlined by the flowers, birds, fish, and insects looked like array diagrams. However, the diagram was incomplete, so he could not see any clues. Hence, he said, "Take me to the next stone inscription." "Alright, let's go." Qin Qingyun replied to Night Sorrow and led Night Sorrow and Bai Mei Sanren towards the next stone inscription he had discovered. When he arrived at this stone inscription, Night Sorrow saw the same scene again. However, the array diagram that appeared was completely different. The two did not seem to be directly related. Next one. Then Night Sorrow went to look at the remaining 3 paintings. After he finished looking at them, he copied everything he saw on the ground and tried to combine them like a puzzle. After more than 6 years of deliberation, Night Sorrow finally pieced the 5 paintings together perfectly. When the 5 paintings were pieced together, headless cows immediately appeared. These 5 oxen were not ordinary water buffaloes, but 5 extremely handsome oxen. They gave off a very powerful feeling. However, Night Sorrow could not tell what use they had. Hence, he spoke to Bai Mei Sanren and Qin Qingyun. "If you don't know what it's used for, then set it up and try it out." After Night Sorrow finished talking about the array diagram, Bai Mei Sanren immediately said with a smile. He also said that he was willing to be a test subject. After the array was completed, he was willing to enter it and try it out. "That's right. Brother Yi, try setting it up and you'll know everything." Qin Qingyun also echoed and said that as long as he had the materials, he would contribute them. After they finished speaking, Little 7, Little 9, and the restriction-breaking hammer all agreed with him setting it up. "Alright. Since you all say so, then I'll try to set up this array." After everyone finished speaking, Night Sorrow felt that setting up the array was not difficult anyway, so he decided to give it a try. Then with everyone's help he set up the array diagram. When the array diagram was set up, Bai Mei Sanren immediately said, "I'm going in. After I enter, immediately activate the array. Let's see what happens." "Alright. If there are any abnormalities, just tell me. I'll immediately stop the array." Night Sorrow said and gestured to Bai Mei Sanren. Then Bai Mei Sanren walked into the array. "I'm activating it." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, the array was immediately activated. The 5 oxen that had appeared before appeared again. "What are these 5 oxen doing? Are they going to attack Brother Bai Mei?" Qin Qingyun, who was watching from the side, said doubtfully. Bai Mei Sanren, who was in the array, had been in a trance. He could feel that the 5 oxen in front of him were not ordinary. Mo, 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 mo. Just as Bai Mei Sanren was alerted, the 5 oxen immediately cried out. In an instant, Bai Mei Sanren felt his divine ocean tremble. His divine soul was about to be shattered, and he could not even send a voice transmission. He immediately gestured to Night Sorrow to indicate that he could not withstand the sound wave attack. "Brother, you seem to be injured." Seeing Bai Mei Sanren's abnormal expression, Night Sorrow immediately stopped the array. He asked with concern, "Brother, how are you? Are you okay? If you had stopped it a little later, I would have been in trouble. The cries of these 5 oxen are a very powerful divine soul attack. I can't withstand it at all." Bai Mei Sanren said with a pale face. At this moment he could still feel his divine soul trembling. Clan M. Chapter 3092. Divine Soul Attack? What we lack the most now is divine soul attacks. You're really getting whatever you lack. Hearing Bai Mei Sanren's words, Night Sorrow immediately felt that their group's luck was off the charts. What they lacked the most now was divine soul attacks. Now that they had this 5 bulls formation, they had an additional chance of winning against the evil spirit behind the scenes. "Why do I feel that this is too much of a coincidence?" Qin Qingyun said with a smile. He felt that this was completely like opening one's mouth and reaching out one's hand for clothes. The array formation came too suddenly. At this moment, Bai Mei Sanren smiled and said, "This might be luck. Brother Night Sorrow is a person of great luck, so he has received the favor of the heavens." At his critical moment, the 5 bulls diagram descended from the heavens. It helped him resolve the crisis. What's the point of thinking so much? As long as the effect is good, it's fine. Night Sorrow said and personally entered the array formation. He activated the array formation and let the 5 bulls attack him. With this test, Night Sorrow immediately heard a voice that was not quite the same as Baimei Sanrin's, although it was also the roar of a bull. But it was mixed with a shocking sound of thunder. Being attacked by this sound of thunder, Night Sorrow immediately felt his divine sea tremble. In a moment, he could not withstand it and hurriedly stopped the array formation. This kind of attack is really powerful. I can't withstand it for a while at all. No matter how strong the evil spirit behind the scenes is, it can't withstand the attack of this array formation when it's possessing me. After Night Sorrow felt the power of the 5 bulls formation, an idea arose in his heart. He said, let's wait for the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast to break through now, and then we can try to fight with that existence. Alright. Then we'll wait in peace. Come, let's go through thick and thin together. This is also fate. Since there's nothing to do, let's have a drink. At this time, Baimei Sanrin, who did not cultivate at all, took out wine and dishes from his spatial artifact. Alright. Let's drink to our heart's content. Night Sorrow took a wine gourd and drank with the two of them. In the following years, everyone was more relaxed. Night Sorrow had been studying the 5 bulls diagram. As for Baimei Sanrin and Qin Qingyun, they were playing chess non-stop. When they were tired from playing chess, the two of them would have a drink. Just like that, 8 years passed. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast finally sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Let me out. I'm about to face the earthly sovereign lightning tribulation. Ah, had he finally broken through? Good. I'll protect you. Night Sorrow released the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and set up some array formations around it. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast's body was enormous. In comparison, Night Sorrow was as small as an ant. Thus, it took a little longer to set up the formation. The array formation was only halfway set up when the lightning tribulation body of the chaotic heavenly crystal beast had already descended. Then the two behemoths fought like ancient behemoths. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast's tribulation transcendence method was similar to Night Sorrow's. It did not use attrition tactics at all. It just clashed head-on with the other party. After fighting for 5 days and 5 nights, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast successfully defeated the lightning tribulation body and completely ascended to the earthly sovereign realm. Ah, I'm finally an earthly sovereign. After successfully transcending the tribulation, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast roared excitedly. Congratulations, you've gotten what you wanted. Not long after getting to know the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast said that it wanted to follow Night Sorrow and advance to earthly sovereign. It had only been a few years and it had successfully advanced. Night Sorrow was truly happy for it. I have to thank you for the resources you provided. Thank you. Thank you. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast thanked him sincerely. He knew that if not for Night Sorrow, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens for him to advance to earthly sovereign. You're too polite. After Baimei Sanrin and Qin Qingyun congratulated the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice. I have an idea, and that is to set up a 5 bulls formation in your chaotic space. When the time comes, we'll fight the evil spirit behind the scenes. As long as we suck it into your space and let it enter the 5 bulls formation, we'll have a high chance of winning. Oh, there's such a way of setting it up? Will that work? When the chaotic heavenly crystal beast heard Night Sorrow's words, it immediately felt that it was a fantasy. We'll know if it works after giving it a try. It shouldn't do you any harm. Night Sorrow said and continued, we're in a very dangerous situation now. We have to try any method to increase our chances of winning. Alright. Then give it a try. Don't break my chaotic space. The chaotic heavenly crystal beast thought about it and agreed in the end. Alright. Let me in. Yi Shang said as he was sucked into the primal chaos space. Arriving here, he began to set up the 5 bulls formation and soon finished setting up the formation. It made the entire chaotic space covered by the 5 bulls formation. After experimenting for a while, Night Sorrow said with a smile, very good. It's even stronger than the one on the ground. There doesn't seem to be any discomfort. When Night Sorrow activated the 5 bulls formation, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast did not feel any discomfort. This also dispelled his worries. Next, let's recover a little and we can leave this 100 spirits sect. Night Sorrow looked at Baimei Sanrin, Qin Qingyun, and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast and said, the following battle will be very dangerous, and there's even a possibility of dying. Do you guys have anything else to say? The path of cultivation is originally going against the heavens. Even if we die, it's nothing. Baimei Sanren smiled indifferently and did not take it seriously. Chen Qingyun said with a gloomy expression, "Actually, I don't care about life or death, but I really want to save my family." "Alright. If we can successfully get out of here, we'll take the lead to find your family," Night Sorrow said as he patted Chen Qingyun's shoulder. Then he sent a voice transmission to Little 7 and Little 9 and said, "Help him save his family, and then we'll go find Little 8 together." "Alright. We're not in a hurry." Little 7 and Little 9 replied in unison. They were divine artifacts and had plenty of time. They did not care about time. "Alright. Everything that needs to be prepared has been prepared. Let's leave this 100 Spirits sect. For safety's sake, Brother Whitebrow and Brother Chin, you guys temporarily enter my space grotto heaven. If there's a need, I'll let you out." Night Sorrow thought for a moment and decided to let the two of them enter his space grotto heaven. They would only fight with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. "Alright." Baimei Sanren and Chen Qingyun knew that their strength was limited, so they did not refute. Then, Night Sorrow left the 100 Spirits sect with the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. After walking out of the 100 Spirits sect, they immediately entered a spacious hall. This hall was very spacious, but it gave off an extremely gloomy feeling. With a slight perception, one could feel a strong aura of death and a strong murderous aura. "I've been waiting for you." At this moment, a gloomy voice was suddenly heard. Chapter 3093. You're the evil spirit behind the 100 Spirits sect? Night Sorrow activated the sea serpent's eye and immediately saw a figure about 10 times taller than an ordinary person not far in front of him. This figure was currently staring at him with scarlet eyes. That gaze was as if it was examining its prey, as if it was going to attack and devour him in the next second. "Evil spirit? Yes, I'm an evil spirit. But after you appeared, I'll soon be rid of my identity as an evil spirit. And your body will completely belong to me." There was no expression on the evil spirit's face. However, it gave off the feeling of a sinister smile which made one shudder. Hearing this, Night Sorrow sneered and said, "If you want to possess me, you need to have that ability." At the same time, he used his divine spirit power to check his surroundings and found that this space had already been sealed by a formation. There was no possibility of him escaping directly at all, so he could only choose to fight the other party to the death. If you had the strength of an Earth Supreme, I would consider whether there was a possibility of failure. But you're only an intermediate Supreme, so you have no ability to resist in front of me. The evil spirit was not in a hurry to attack. This was not because he was talking too much nonsense, but because he was imperceptibly exerting pressure on Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow could naturally see this, but he was already someone who had experienced hundreds of battles, so why would he care about this? He sneered and said, "If you want to attack, then hurry up and do it. Your so-called verbal pressure is like child's play to me." "Good. You have some backbone. Today only one of us can walk out of this ancient tomb. How many years has it been? I've waited for several reincarnations and finally I've waited for you." The evil spirit laughed wantonly and roared, "Prepare to accept your fate. Today I'll destroy your divine spirit." Facing the evil spirit in front of him, Night Sorrow's strength was slightly weaker, but this evil spirit obviously spoke more nonsense. This gave him and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast a chance. After roaring, Night Sorrow sent a voice transmission to the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. "Don't give him a chance to attack. Directly suck him into the chaotic space. If you let him attack, you might not even be able to withstand a single move." "Good. I'm already brewing. I'm just waiting for your word." Night Sorrow knew that the evil spirit definitely did not want anyone to disturb him when he used possession. It was very likely that he would directly destroy the chaotic heavenly crystal beast. Therefore, he immediately let the chaotic heavenly crystal beast attack first. Just as the evil spirit was about to attack, he was sucked into the chaotic space. "What's this?" After being sucked into the primal chaos space, the evil spirit that was about to attack was astonished. Originally, he thought that he had an absolute advantage in terms of strength, and that Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast couldn't pose any threat to him at all. Who would have thought that before he could even make a move, he would be sucked into a strange space? Just as the evil spirit was about to attack the primal chaos space, Night Sorrow also entered. He looked at the evil spirit and said, "As you said, only one of us can walk out of here today. Appearing in front of me again is your biggest mistake." At the same time, after his divine soul left the evil spirit's body, that evil spirit's body suddenly started attacking crazily in the chaotic space. It turned out that this evil spirit still had this kind of ability. This was something that Night Sorrow and the chaotic heavenly crystal beast did not expect. Night Sorrow, you have to quickly destroy the evil spirit's divine soul to resist the evil spirit's body. Otherwise, my chaotic space will be broken by its power very soon. Being bombarded by the evil spirit's body, the chaotic heavenly crystal beast immediately felt that the chaotic space was in danger of being hammered apart. He sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow anxiously. Don't worry. I'll finish it off as soon as possible. Night Sorrow, who was currently being possessed, also burned his own bloodline power while activating the Treastrimsa Heaven's Battle Mystic technique. He also let the power of merit wrap around his body. Even so, he could still feel the huge gap between him and the evil spirit's divine soul. If this continued, his divine sea would be taken over. Naturally, it was not a solution. Night Sorrow immediately activated the Five Bulls formation. Mo. 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 After the formation was activated, a loud bull's roar immediately sounded. What kind of method is this? Having his divine soul attacked by the Five Bulls formation, the evil spirit immediately felt that something was amiss and roared in puzzlement. In reality, the evil spirit was a true heavenly supreme when he was alive. At this time, the divine soul was born in the body after the fall. After tens of millions of years of cultivation, he had his current achievements. Therefore, the strength of his body was at the heavenly supreme level. However, his divine soul was only at the half-step heavenly supreme level. This was originally a little stronger than Night Sorrow's divine soul, but after being roared by the Five Bulls, his strength immediately decreased greatly. Before he could completely react, Night Sorrow immediately launched a divine soul attack on him. What he used was the dragon roar and phoenix cry. This was the result of decades of deliberation, and it was much more powerful than the gentle dragon roar. Among them, there was the power of the Azure Sea, and the attack was very surging. Damn it. You will die today without a doubt. The evil spirit's divine soul became abnormally weak under the attack of the Five Bulls formation. It was no longer stronger than Night Sorrow's divine soul. At this time, being bombarded by the dragon roar and phoenix cry, he immediately felt very uncomfortable and was completely suppressed. The divine soul in front of him was in danger of being destroyed. The evil spirit immediately controlled his body and started attacking crazily in the chaos space. At this time, the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast sent an urgent voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Hurry up and kill him, I can't hold on for more than 10 breaths. His body is at the Heavenly Supreme level, I really can't withstand it. Don't worry. I'll destroy his divine soul very soon. At the same time that Night Sorrow responded to the Chaos Heavenly Crystal Beast, he started using the power of merit to purify the evil spirit's divine soul. After being purified by the power of merit, the evil spirit's divine soul, which was already very uncomfortable, immediately became like a grasshopper thrown into a pot of oil. He could not remain calm at all. At the same time, his body started attacking the chaos space even more crazily. He started wreaking havoc in the Five Bulls formation. This evil spirit's body was wreaking havoc. Before Night Sorrow could think of a way, the Five Bulls formation immediately produced 5 different roars. Mo. Me. Mo. And I. Mo. When these 5 bull roars came out, the evil spirit's divine soul that was resisting Night Sorrow was unexpectedly directly destroyed. It happened so suddenly that Night Sorrow did not even have time to react. The evil spirit's divine soul was destroyed by 5 bull roars just like that? Night Sorrow said in disbelief that the confrontation ended so quickly. This battle was much easier than he had imagined. The main thing was that the 5 bulls formation's attack was seriously too powerful, far beyond his imagination. At this time, he found the evil spirit's body and continued to rely on instinct to destroy the chaos space. How could Night Sorrow be willing to let him be presumptuous? Soon, he released the power of merit and completely destroyed some of the remnant souls in the evil spirit's body. Clan M. Chapter 3094. When the soul in the evil spirit's body was completely destroyed, the heavenly supreme level body immediately lost control and fell to the ground. Night Sorrow was sure that it had no ability to resist, so he let the chaotic heavenly crystal beast release all of them. After being released by the chaotic heavenly crystal beast, Little Seven immediately said, Night Sorrow, give this body to me to devour. I can transform it into a large amount of heavenly supreme level nomological laws and essence, which can help you increase your strength quickly. No. This body still has a very important use. When Yi Shang heard Little Seven's words, he immediately refused. What? What else is more important than increasing strength? Little Seven asked in confusion. If I'm not wrong, this body can not only be used for fighting, but it can also be used to help us hide our identities in the fog. Next, when we help Brother Chin save people, we will definitely come into contact with the cultivators in the fog. The evil aura around us is too little, so it's easy to expose our identities. But with this body in front of us, it's completely different. No one should be able to see through it. Night Sorrow said slowly. Hearing this, Little Seven continued, it seems that it can be done like this. You're more meticulous. But you're going to control this body? Yes. How do we control it to fight? Baimei Sanren also asked in confusion when he heard Night Sorrow's words. I'm going to refine this body into my own clone. This way we can usually hide in the clone. We can use the clone to walk in the fog. Night Sorrow continued to speak while observing the evil spirit's body with the sea serpent's eye. Refine the evil spirit into a clone? Baimei Sanren thought for a moment and felt that Night Sorrow's actions were a little rash, but he couldn't think of a way to refute it after thinking for a long time. Then he thought that there was nothing wrong with refining this thing into a clone. After all, this was the body of a heavenly supreme level, and its defensive power was quite astonishing. When Little Seven and Little Nine heard Night Sorrow's words, they all supported him and praised him for his ideas. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, it's just an idea at the moment, but I'll try it immediately to see if it works. Generally speaking, if an ordinary person in the eternal supreme world refines an evil spirit into a clone, their soul will definitely be corroded. But I have the power of merit protecting me, so I should be able to resist this impact. Next, I'll try it and see if it works. After speaking, Night Sorrow began refining the evil spirit's clone. In about a year's time, the evil spirit clone was completely refined. Night Sorrow's clone, Night Sorcerer's body had a clone to the heavenly Supreme clone. Even though White Brow Wanderer and the others knew that Night Sorrow was controlling the avatar, they couldn't see any clues. They believed that the other people in the fog wouldn't be able to see it either. Since you've controlled the clone, can Brother Yi leave this place and help me save my wife? When Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremess, Qin Qingyun immediately asked in a pleading tone. Of course we have to save her. But we need to search this evil spirit's lair first to see if there are any resources. Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremess smiled and began to search the tomb. In the end, they spent a month and found a lot of misty heavenly Ganoderma and other resources. This misty heavenly Ganoderma contained the heavenly supreme level laws and essence. It was a great tonic, but it was tainted by the murderous aura. But in front of Night Sorrow, all of this was not a problem. He directly used the power of merit to purify these misty heavenly Ganoderma and distribute them to everyone. Including the restriction-breaking hammer, everyone had a share. As for the other items and resources, they did not study them carefully and left the tomb. When they left, everyone, including Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremess, entered the evil spirit's space. The evil spirit's clone rushed on the journey. As they had just entered the evil spirit's space, they did not know where they were. Therefore, the first thing they did was to search for a city in the foggy area. According to Qin Qingyun, there were even more cities in the foggy area than in the eternal supreme world. Therefore, they spent 3 months to find a city. This city was hidden in the fog, but after entering it, everything became clear. It looked similar to the cities in the eternal supreme world. There were all kinds of pavilions and towers. However, the cultivators in the city all exuded a murderous aura. They didn't seem to be kind people. However, this was a small city and there were no heavenly supremes in the city. Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremess could do whatever he wanted. There was no one who dared to provoke him. Soon, the evil spirit's clone controlled by Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremess obtained a map of the foggy area from a shop. According to the markings on the map, the city was called Jiqi City, and it was the closest city to the eternal supreme world. It was a long distance away from the cloud breath mining area where Qin Qingyun's wife was. If they were to rush there, it would take many years. Using the teleportation array required the currency of the foggy area, blackthorn crystals. Moreover, it required a huge amount. Night Sorrow and the rest naturally did not have such blackthorn crystals. After studying it, everyone thought to themselves, what should they do? If they did not have it, they would just rob it. In any case, fighting was inevitable in the foggy area. However, in the city they definitely could not fight. This was the rule set by the 3 Supreme Realm experts in the foggy area. Therefore, Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremess controlled the evil spirit's clone and left the city in front of them. He began his life of robbery in the foggy area. After robbing for almost a year, he finally gathered enough blackthorn crystals to head to the next city. He did not obtain much blackthorn crystals, but his power of merit increased by a lot. He found that killing cultivators of the same level in the foggy area increased his power of merit more than killing evil spirits. After that, the cultivators in the small city in front of him heard that there were hunters outside the city. Most of them did not dare to go out anymore. There was no point in continuing to hunt. Night Sorrow Heavenly Supreme S controlled the evil spirit's clone and headed to the next city. Treasure Butcher City. This Treasure Butcher City was dozens of times bigger than Jianghu City. Furthermore, there was a Heavenly Supreme City Lord. The order in and outside the city was much more stable than Jianghu City. If he continued to hunt cultivators in the foggy area like in Jianghu City, he would be targeted by a Heavenly Supreme easily. Therefore, Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremist changed his strategy of obtaining blackthorn crystals this time. He was prepared to take the risk and go to the arena with his real body. He would win enough blackthorn crystals through battle and teleport directly to the Cloud Breath mining area. Because if he used the evil spirit's clone, he would not be able to find a suitable opponent at all. Even if he found one, Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremist was not a match for a Heavenly Supreme. Before deciding to take action, Night Sorrow Heavenly Supremist made a lot of preparations. He let his aura be completely tainted by the aura of the foggy area and only let his spirit be clear. This way it would be difficult for him to be discovered. Clan M. Chapter 3095. The arena in the foggy area had a different name from the arena in the Eternal Supreme World or the Realm of Gods. It was also different in nature. The arena in Baodu City was called the Arena of Life and Death. It was an industry controlled by the city lord. Cultivators of the same level could fight in the arena. Every battle was a battle of life and death. The winner would take away 90% of the opponent's chips. The remaining 10% would be taken by the city lord. If the cultivators who participated in the arena of life and death won 10 or 20 consecutive victories, they would be rewarded accordingly by the city lord. As for the reward for 100 consecutive victories, it was naturally even more. It was almost an astronomical figure. But no one had ever won 100 consecutive victories. There were quite a few people who won 99 consecutive victories. It should be the city lord's mansion who was secretly controlling this. After all, the city lord's mansion had to fork out the reward for obtaining 100 consecutive victories. After preparing for the arena of life and death, Night Sorrow found a half-heavenly supreme divine artifact from the evil spirit's assets and exchanged it for 50,000 blackthorn crystals at a chamber of relics. Such a price was very unscrupulous. But it was the market price in the foggy area. People in the foggy area were naturally bloodthirsty and greedy. The price of doing business was never fair. And going to the Cloud Breath mining area required about 1.5 million blackthorn crystals. It was a sky-high price. Even if Night Sorrow used up all the resources he had, he might not be able to get enough blackthorn crystals in the foggy area. It's not easy to win 1.5 million blackthorn crystals with 50,000 blackthorn crystals. Brother Yi, it's been hard on you. After leaving the shop, Qin Qingyun sent a message to Night Sorrow. He felt that Night Sorrow had sacrificed too much because of his wife. Brother Qin, you're welcome. Fighting with the cultivators in the foggy area can also improve my understanding of them. It's very valuable. Night Sorrow replied with a smile. The cultivators in the Eternal Supreme World did not know much about the cultivators in the foggy area. In the future war they would definitely be in a passive position. Night Sorrow also wanted to learn more about the cultivators in the foggy area through the arena of life and death. No matter what, I still have to thank Brother Yi. There is nothing I can do to repay you. In the future, Qingyun is willing to follow Brother Yi and be at your beck and call without complaint. Qin Qingyun said excitedly. For Night Sorrow this was a training experience, but for him, this was a very important matter. They were all friends, so there was no need to say such things. We aren't too clear about the rules of the life and death ring. Next I'll go and ask. Sign me up. Night Sorrow was a forthright person, and Qin Qingyun could be considered as his living map. He was quite grateful for this. He felt that helping the other party with this matter was nothing much, so he had no intention of taking credit for it. With that, Yishang led everyone in the Grotto Heaven to the only life and death arena in Baodu City. Just as they approached the life and death arena, they heard an incomparably resounding roar. The cultivators in the foggy area roared like wild beasts when they watched the battle. If it were an ordinary cultivator from the foggy region, they would have been intimidated by such a scene. But Night Sorrow was not. Hearing the beast-like roars of the cultivators in the foggy area, his battle intent rose immediately. When they arrived at the arena of life and death, Night Sorrow quickly found the registration area. After asking around, he found out that the battles for the sovereign level were very rare, and would only appear once every few years. Under normal circumstances, it would be for the earthly sovereign level. For the earthly sovereign level battles, the wager would be at least 20,000 blackthorn crystals, and there was no upper limit. How can this be? Without the sovereign level battles, when will we be able to accumulate more than 1 million blackthorn crystals? Hearing the receptionist's words, Qin Qingyun, who was in the space, immediately said in distress. But at this moment he said, I should have thought of this problem. Most of the cultivators in the foggy area are at the earthly sovereign level. Even half-step earthly sovereigns like me are very rare. Not to mention ordinary sovereigns. Brother Qin, don't worry. I'll participate in the earthly sovereign level battles directly. Night Sorrow comforted Qin Qingyun through telepathy, then looked at the receptionist and said, Can I participate in the earthly sovereign level battles as an earthly sovereign? If you're not afraid of death, you can even participate in the heavenly sovereign level battles. But the prerequisite is that your wager can catch the eye of others. Let others feel that you're worth it. The receptionist's strength was at the lower earthly sovereign level. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, he immediately laughed coldly. That kind of laughter was as if he thought Night Sorrow was a fool. Night Sorrow did not care about that at all. He directly took out 50,000 blackthorn crystals and said, I want to battle with the earthly sovereign. This is my wager. Is it enough? 50,000 blackthorn crystals? That's a pretty good wager. Are you sure you won't regret it? When Night Sorrow took out 50,000 blackthorn crystals, the receptionist's eyes immediately lit up. A normal battle between earthly sovereigns would basically have 10,000 blackthorn crystals as the wager. At this moment, Night Sorrow wanted to wager 50,000 blackthorn crystals, which was not a small amount. Moreover, a middle earthly sovereign dared to challenge an earthly sovereign in the arena of life and death. This would definitely attract the attention of others. He was sure that if he could handle this matter well, he would definitely receive a reward from the higher-ups. Of course I won't regret it. Take the blackthorn crystals, but I hope that you can guarantee that I won't lose a single one of them. Do you understand what I mean? Night Sorrow looked at the receptionist and said fiercely. He knew that there were no good people in the foggy area. The receptionist in front of him would very likely deduct a portion of the 50,000 blackthorn crystals. Not a single one of them. You sure know how to dream. I can give you 40,000 blackthorn crystals, that's already enough. The receptionist said disdainfully to Night Sorrow and asked him to wait. He himself went to arrange for Night Sorrow to participate in the arena of life and death. About 2 hours later, the receptionist appeared. He looked at Night Sorrow with a playful expression and said, Your matter is settled. Your opponent is a middle earthly sovereign. The duel will take place in 3 days. Since it's settled, there's no possibility of you backing down. In the next few days, the city governor's mansion will arrange a place for you to stay. Remember, don't even think about running away or you'll definitely die. I'm here to participate in the duel. Naturally, I won't run away. Night Sorrow glanced at the receptionist, then followed the people from the city governor's mansion into a courtyard. Although it was called a courtyard, it was actually a place they used to monitor the contestants. However, Night Sorrow had no intention of running away at all. Therefore, he peacefully deduced some combat techniques here. The way the practitioners in the foggy area fought was very different from the way the practitioners in the Eternal Sovereign World fought. Night Sorrow was constantly learning the fighting techniques of the practitioners in the foggy area. In recent battles, he had used the Sea Serpent's Eye to record many such scenes. Therefore, it was quite easy for him to deduce them. He transformed the Qingshen Divine Spear technique and other techniques into the dark mode. After that, he quietly waited for the summoning of the arena of life and death. When the scheduled day arrived, the people from the city governor's mansion came to pick him up and bring him to the arena of life and death. Chapter 3096. When they arrived at the arena of life and death, Night Sorrow and more than 30 other earthly sovereigns were brought to a dark tunnel. After entering the dark tunnel, Night Sorrow received number 18 and was told that he would be participating in the 9th round. Then, Night Sorrow and some other earthly sovereigns waited for the battle to start. Before the battle started, one of the wolf-faced earthly sovereigns looked at Night Sorrow with disdain. A medium sovereign dares to participate in the arena of life and death for earthly sovereigns? Are you here to die? If you kneel down and beg for mercy now, I can consider not killing you. Night Sorrow used the eye of the sea serpent to observe and found that the wolf-faced earthly sovereign was number 17, his opponent. He sneered. The arena of life and death determines victory and defeat as well as life and death. Just wait to be torn apart by me. In the foggy area, no one was reserved. When provoked, they would fight back. He didn't hold back at all. Ah, I will eat you up in the arena. The wolf-faced earthly sovereign looked at Night Sorrow with obvious aggression. It was as if he was examining food. Ah, I hope you can do what you say. Night Sorrow looked at him with a cold smile. In his eyes, the other party was also a dead wolf. While they were talking, the first battle outside had already begun. In the end, one of the earthly sovereigns tore the other earthly sovereign apart. The scene was extremely bloody. However, it attracted earth-shaking cheers from the audience. The practitioners in the foggy area loved such bloody scenes. Standing in the dark tunnel, Night Sorrow had been silently observing and learning the habits of the practitioners in the foggy area. After observing 8 rounds in a row, he thoroughly understood the characteristics and habits of the practitioners in the foggy area. When it came to the 9th round, the host first kept the audience guessing. He announced that there would be a medium sovereign participating in the arena of earthly sovereigns today. Knowing that there was a medium sovereign participating in the arena of life and death, many of the audience became curious. Although the practitioners in the foggy area were all bloodthirsty, none of them liked to die. They were all curious about the strength of this medium sovereign. Under the curious gaze of the audience, Night Sorrow slowly walked out of the tunnel. At this time he was controlling his aura and didn't burst out too strong. Therefore, in the eyes of the audience, he wasn't extraordinary. His opponent, the wolf-faced earthly sovereign, burst out a strong aura from the beginning. Many people thought that this was a one-sided massacre arranged by the city governor's mansion. Boos. Hearing these boos, the wolf-faced earthly sovereign, don't be disappointed. I will let you enjoy the most. It will eat him up in the arena. After he spoke, the bloodthirsty cultivators immediately roared madly. What a bunch of beasts is death. Night Sorrow, who was laughing coldly in his heart, loathed the cultivators in the fog even more. In his opinion, these cultivators had completely lost their humanity and had become slaves to be slaughtered and enslaved. This had already lost the true meaning of cultivation. Even if one's strength was too strong, it was meaningless. At this time, the host saw that the atmosphere had been stirred up and shouted, "The battle begins. Life and death, the battle is over. As for the entertainment, if the audience likes it, the city governor's mansion won't stop it." Boom. Hearing this, the crowd burst into an uproar again. Everyone was already looking forward to the bloody scene. I will tear it apart. I will eat a part of it. I will let you see yourself being eaten alive. The wolf-faced earthly sovereign, after the host announced the start of the battle, howled and attacked Night Sorrow. In his opinion, Night Sorrow was only a medium sovereign and definitely didn't have much combat strength. He didn't use any ultimate skills in his first attack. Night Sorrow didn't use the golden heavenly halberd against him because the aura of the golden heavenly halberd didn't match with the foggy area. Night Sorrow had a black spear in his hand that he got from the evil spirit. This black spear was an earthly sovereign grade divine weapon and was very evil. Night Sorrow waved the spear, and it immediately emitted a thick black gas. If this thick black gas was used to attack the eternal sovereign world's cultivators, they might not be able to withstand it. But for the foggy area's cultivators, this was what they liked the most. Facing the wolf-faced earthly sovereign, who didn't use his full strength, Night Sorrow didn't use any strength at all and directly sent him flying with the black spear. Seeing that Night Sorrow had unexpectedly sent the wolf-faced earthly sovereign flying, the audience roared even more wildly than a wolf's howl. Die. Although the wolf-faced earthly sovereign had a human body, he had a wolf head. After being accidentally sent flying, he immediately roared ferociously. After getting up, he howled to the sky and raised his aura by a large margin. Then his hands, which were originally like a human's, turned into wolf claws covered in black fur. The long wolf claws looked similar to a cultivator's sword blade and emitted a cold light. This pair of wolf claws was his divine weapon. You will be the one to die, werewolf. Seeing that the opponent in front of him had completely transformed into a werewolf, Night Sorrow waved the black spear in his hand again. He didn't waste any time. After saying that, he blasted out the improved divine spear toward his opponent. This move contained quite a few laws of divine abilities. The power was still very great. Its power was definitely at the level of an earthly sovereign. However, this was Night Sorrow holding back. In fact, a middle earthly sovereign wasn't much of a threat to him. If he used his full strength, he could even contend with a half-step to heavenly sovereign. However, that would require him to use the power of merit. Oh whoa! In the face of Night Sorrow's attack, the werewolf, who was extremely fast, felt that something was wrong. He didn't choose to take it head-on. Instead, he howled and hid in the huge arena. Seeing that the werewolf was hiding, Night Sorrow didn't immediately kill him. Instead, he pretended that he wasn't as fast as the werewolf and was in a stalemate with him. Seeing that the werewolf had chosen to dodge continuously, some of the audience booed. What do you know? Being booed by the audience, the werewolf smiled coldly. While he was dodging, he suddenly exploded. His body became 3 times bigger and fiercely attacked Night Sorrow. His huge wolf claws flew out of his palms and attacked Night Sorrow. You are quite insidious. However, in the face of absolute strength, you are just child's play. If Night Sorrow's strength was about the same as the werewolf's, he would definitely be at a disadvantage when faced with his sudden explosion. However, Night Sorrow's absolute strength was much stronger than the werewolf's. In the face of his explosion, the black spear in Night Sorrow's hand emitted a cold black light. After blocking all of the werewolf's attacks, he directly inserted the black spear into the werewolf's chest. Chapter 3097. Number 18's Middle Earthly Sovereign pierced through the chest of Number 17's Middle Earthly Sovereign? Could it be that this battle is really going to end with the supreme martial artist crossing realms to obtain victory? Some of the spectators who were paying attention to the scene before them were shocked. Some of the spectators who had bet their black thorn crystals on the werewolf were extremely upset. However, the werewolf had not actually been killed. After being pierced through the chest by Night Sorrow, he had completely unleashed his ferocious nature and transformed from the werewolf's appearance into the evil werewolf's appearance. His head, which was originally very ferocious, became even more terrifying in an instant. It looked as if he had turned into a zombie. Oh whoa! After transforming into an evil spirit, the werewolf's aura became much stronger. He howled towards the sky and attacked Night Sorrow crazily. However, although his strength was strong and his speed was very fast, his attacks were not very methodical. He relied on the werewolf's instincts to fight, without the support of unique skills or superpowers. Therefore, although his attacks were ferocious in Night Sorrow's eyes, they were completely like children playing around. At this time, the spectators saw the werewolf's frenzied attacks and immediately became excited. Most of the spectators had the cultivation of earthly sovereigns, but their horizons were not very high. They all liked to watch a show. Now, the werewolf's frenzied attacks were very enjoyable for them. Since you're enjoying watching, I'll let you watch for a while longer. Although the werewolf's strength had increased in an instant, Night Sorrow was still at ease. Thinking that there would definitely be more battles later, he deliberately held back most of his strength, not wanting the arena of life and death to see through him. Under Night Sorrow's deliberate holding back, the werewolf looked like he still had some fighting power. After being suppressed for about an hour, Night Sorrow felt that there was no need to continue like this, so he chose to create a coincidence and pierced the werewolf's head with the black spear. After the werewolf's head recovered, he directly killed him. I didn't expect that a sovereign like you would have some skills. Some of the spectators who were watching the battle from the periphery saw that the winner was Night Sorrow, and they immediately became excited. They kept shouting. The cultivators in the foggy area give me the feeling that they have lost their minds. They are extremely crazy. Baimei Sanrin, who was in the space cave, saw the reactions of the cultivators in the foggy area. He suddenly felt that they looked like madmen, very crazy and excited. I feel that it's already not easy for them to control their minds and communicate normally after living in the foggy area for so long. Night Sorrow smiled and transmitted his voice. In the eyes of the others, he was laughing because of the joy of victory. At this time, Qin Qingyun recalled and said, I remember at that time I felt like someone had planted something in my mind. It was like an inner demon but also like a curse. In any case, it was very difficult for him to completely control himself. That feeling was 10 times worse than drinking too much wine. It's very scary when I think about it. In the future, these crazy cultivators will definitely invade the Eternal Supreme's realm. I wonder how the Eternal Supreme's realm will be able to withstand them then. Night Sorrow was clearly worried when he saw everyone's reaction. At this time, Earth Supremes were still rare in the Eternal Supremes realm, but Earth Supremes in the foggy area were simply everywhere. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. If a war broke out, the Eternal Supremes realm was completely no match for the foggy area. The difference in strength between the two sides is indeed great. It makes people feel a trace of despair in their hearts. Bai Mei Sanren also felt a little uncomfortable. He thought of the experience in the past. He transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Brother Night Sorrow, you are a genius. I sincerely hope that you can grow up quickly and lead the cultivators of the Eternal Supremes realm through this difficult time. The tragedy of that incident in the past was really shocking. I would rather die again than go through it again. Don't worry, brother. Night Sorrow will do his best. But if the general trend is too strong, then there's nothing I can do. He would do his best and leave the rest to fate. This was Night Sorrow's attitude. He would not sit still and wait for death. It's a pity that the Eternal Supremes realm's recovery time is too short and has not completely recovered. And the next great calamity is about to arrive. Bai Mei Sanren thought of the Eternal Supremes realm's current strength and felt that there were many things that they could not rely on them for. At this time, Night Sorrow said, "Everyone, do you know where to find a body that can be possessed by a peerless expert and have a chance to advance to the Supreme Realm? A body that can advance to the Supreme Realm? That must be the body of a Supreme Realm expert. Even if we can find it, we definitely can't get it. The three great experts in the foggy area all have such bodies, but we are no match for them at all." Qin Qingyun immediately responded when he heard Night Sorrow's words. "What I mean is, other than them, are there any geniuses with enough potential in the foggy area? That is, geniuses that have not fully grown up." Night Sorrow did not know much about the foggy area and continued to ask. "Geniuses are everywhere. But the peerless geniuses that you mentioned should be very hard to find." Qin Qingyun said, then shouted and said, "If you want to find such geniuses, you can go to a place. That is Lu Tian Academy." Lu Tian Academy? What is that place? Night Sorrow asked curiously. That is the gathering place of the geniuses in the foggy area. Many powerful geniuses enter the academy. They raise their strength there. If you want to find peerless geniuses, you can only find them there. Qin Qingyun said slowly. At this time, Night Sorrow still wanted to continue asking. But at this time, the people from the city lord's residence had already rushed over and brought him down from the stage. They brought him to receive his reward. Once he received his reward, Night Sorrow now had 72,000 blackthorn crystals. This proved that out of his 50,000 bet, 10,000 had been deducted, and only 40,000 had worked. Both parties added up to 80,000, and after 10% was taken away, he was left with 72,000 blackthorn crystals. Seeing that he only got so few blackthorn crystals after betting 50,000, Night Sorrow was obviously unhappy. He raised his head and looked at the receptionist who arranged the competition. At this time, the receptionist was also looking at Night Sorrow with obvious disdain in his eyes. He did not take it seriously at all. "I will make you regret pocketing my things." Night Sorrow looked at the receptionist and transmitted his voice coldly. He did not control his emotions at all. Hearing this, the smile on the receptionist's face became even colder. He said, "Trash from the Supreme Realm, do you really think that you can talk to an Earth Sovereign on equal terms after winning one match? I advise you to behave, or else I will eliminate you immediately. Your second match, I've already arranged it for you. Just wait for the battle." Chapter 3098. Battle is fine. How much are you going to give me for my 72,000 blackthorn crystals? Night Sorrow asked, then shouted, "The City Lord Mansion is unfair. You're greedy for my life and death money. I bet 50,000 in the previous battle, but I only got 72,000 blackthorn crystals after winning. This is too shady." Night Sorrow could overlook the fact that the receptionist had embezzled his 10,000 blackthorn crystals. However, if the receptionist continued to embezzle his money, that was something that he could not accept. Hence, he shouted it out in front of the audience. "Bastard! What are you shouting for? How dare you accuse the City Lord Mansion? I'll teach you a lesson today." Although the cultivators in the foggy area had lost control of their minds, there was still basic order. Upon hearing Night Sorrow's shout, the receptionist's face turned cold as he scolded him. If such a thing was proven to be true, the City Lord Mansion would have no place to put their face. He would definitely be punished for this, and he would definitely not be able to keep his job as a receptionist. At this moment the audience was shouting loudly. betting 50,000 and winning the battle, if he really only got 72,000 blackthorn crystals, it was indeed too shady. Although this was the foggy area, there was no reason for this. As the audience and potential contestants, they were very unhappy. However, this was the property of the City Lord Mansion, and the City Lord was a heavenly sovereign. They could only shout in protest, and no one dared to stand out, afraid that the City Lord would be enraged and directly attack. After all, the foggy area was not a place that spoke of reason. It was a place where strength reigned supreme. I'll shout whatever is the truth. Seeing the receptionist's expression, Night Sorrow said disdainfully, but I won't talk nonsense with you. I can participate in the next battle, and I don't want any reward. However, I have a request, and that is to fight with you. Do you dare? To the receptionist's surprise, Night Sorrow did not continue to reason with him. Instead, he suddenly challenged him in front of everyone. In the foggy area, it was normal to challenge someone. At this moment, Night Sorrow only had the cultivation of a middle earthly sovereign, and he was challenging an upper earthly sovereign. If the receptionist didn't dare to accept it, the City Lord's mansion would definitely lose face. Moreover, the receptionist also felt that if he killed Night Sorrow directly, it would save him the trouble of spouting nonsense. Therefore, the receptionist sneered and said, "Since you are not afraid of death, then this receptionist doesn't mind having one more life in my hands. So you're saying that you've chosen to accept the challenge? Very good." Seeing that the receptionist had agreed, Night Sorrow continued, "Then let's go on stage immediately. Let's add an appetizer for the audience." If he left this place, the receptionist would definitely use some methods to deal with him. Night Sorrow did not want to delay any longer, so he directly flew to the arena. Looking towards number 19 and number 20 who were about to engage in a duel, he said, "The two of you are also cultivators who have risked your lives for the blackthorn crystal. Please give up your positions. Let me kill this bitch and seek justice for everyone." Good. Kill him. The two contestants in front of him were fugitives, but they also cared about the blackthorn crystal. Night Sorrow's challenge to them was beneficial to them, so they naturally chose to give up and return to the dark tunnel. They gave up the life and death arena to Night Sorrow. "Come over here." Standing in the middle of the life and death arena, Night Sorrow looked at the receptionist and curled his finger in disdain. "I am an upper earthly sovereign, why would I be afraid of an ant from the supreme realm? You dare to slander and provoke me, what awaits you is only the destruction of your soul." The receptionist, who had already been lifted up, naturally couldn't reject Night Sorrow's challenge in public. Because that would be a great disgrace to the City Lord's mansion. He roared and flew to the life and death arena. "Good. Kill him. Kill him." The audience below the arena roared crazily. The frenzied and chaotic roars shook the life and death arena. "As long as you dare to go on stage. I heard that there is a rule in the life and death arena. In this battle, all the items on the opponent will belong to the winner. Is that true?" Night Sorrow looked at the receptionist and asked. This question was very invasive, and it made the receptionist very unhappy. The receptionist sneered and said, "This is a rule set by the City Lord's mansion in the early years, and no one dares to violate it." "That's good. You should still have my blackthorn crystal on you, right? After the battle it will return to me." Night Sorrow roared and waved his black spear, shooting at the receptionist in front of him. The receptionist in front of him was basically in human form, but his face was extremely pale. His body was surrounded by black gas, and his evil aura was very strong. Seeing Night Sorrow shoot, he snorted and said, "Insignificant skill." Then he took out a pitch-black longsword from his space paradise. This long sword was emitting a dark glow, giving people a chilling feeling of evilness. He used this long sword to block Night Sorrow's black spear. The receptionist sneered and said, "Is this all you have? Earthly sovereigns are really ants. Die, die, die." As the word "die" came out of his mouth, the long sword in the receptionist's hand suddenly turned into 3 clones, stabbing at Night Sorrow from 3 different directions. This kind of attack was actually very vulgar for an earthly sovereign. However, most of the cultivators in the foggy area relied on their strength, and they rarely relied on their skills. In the face of such an attack, Night Sorrow despised it, but he couldn't reveal too many tricks. Holding the black spear, he chose to fight head-on with his opponent. Boom, boom, boom. 3 explosive collisions sounded. Night Sorrow's black spear didn't retreat at all, and the receptionist's 3 long swords were all sent flying. Good. When the audience saw this scene, they immediately cheered. They were crazy about strength, and when they saw that a middle earthly sovereign could actually send an upper earthly sovereign's long sword flying, they immediately cheered even more fervently. Even ants have some strength. Not bad. You can withstand my attack for a while. But that's all. The long sword was sent flying, but the receptionist's face showed an evil smile. Then he took out a rope from the space hollow. This rope must have originally been of other colors, but it had been eroded by the fog into a pure black color, and it was emitting a black light. After it was taken out, the receptionist silently chanted the incantation. Then the rope suddenly turned into the appearance of a black python, and cooperated with the receptionist to fight Night Sorrow. Although the black python that the rope turned into was also at the level of an upper earthly sovereign, it was obviously stronger than the receptionist's strength. After it appeared, it crazily suppressed Night Sorrow. In the eyes of the audience, it seemed that Night Sorrow was powerless to resist. Many people were amazed by the power of the receptionist and the black python. Clan M. Chapter 3099. However, there were also many people who sighed at Night Sorrow's combat strength. They felt that he should be proud of himself for being able to hold on for so long against the receptionist and the black python as a supreme. In fact, Night Sorrow had not used his full strength at all. He was afraid that if he completely exploded and displayed too much strength, he would attract the attention of some big shots in the fog area. After all, he was from the Eternal Supreme World. If he was targeted by the big shots in the fog area, he would easily be exposed. Therefore, in the battle he deliberately appeared to be struggling. However, he only appeared to be passive and was not really defeated. In the process of defending, he waited for an opportunity to cause damage to the receptionist. Black Python, enter the Black Frenzy state. After fighting for a while, seeing that he still could not take down Night Sorrow, the receptionist suddenly shouted. After the receptionist shouted, the Black Python's body immediately grew several times larger, and the aura on its body also increased. The receptionist's pupils, which were originally very black, had completely turned pitch black. After this change, whether it was the receptionist or the black python, the strength of their bodies increased a lot. However, in Night Sorrow's opinion, this was still not enough. However, he needed to think about how to defeat the other party reasonably. He could not easily crush the other party. It was also after the receptionist and the black python became stronger that Night Sorrow once again fought in defensive mode. In the eyes of everyone, he was suppressed to the point that he had no strength to fight back. He only knew how to dodge and did not attack at all. If not for his good speed, he might have been killed. At this time, Night Sorrow thought about it and felt that the receptionist and the black python would definitely suffer a backlash if they used this secret technique. Using speed, he would keep dodging and wait for them to suffer a backlash. At that time, he would kill them in one blow. Therefore, in the face of the aggressive receptionist and the black python, he was not in a hurry to attack, but continued to defend. I can't even take down this ant. Speed, I need speed. Seeing that Night Sorrow had been dodging, the receptionist, who was at a disadvantage in speed, roared angrily and used a secret technique again. After this secret technique was used, the receptionist's skin and flesh were lacerated, looking very bloody. However, his speed had increased a lot because of this. It looked like his speed was about the same as Night Sorrow's. Let's see how you're going to escape this time. Prepare for the arrival of the Grim Reaper. After the receptionist increased his speed, his body looked a little scary, but his combat power and speed had both increased. Especially his speed, it had increased by a lot. In the eyes of outsiders, he was already comparable to Night Sorrow. Some of the audience naturally hoped for the weak to win against the strong. Many of them were even worried for Night Sorrow. However, this was completely unnecessary. To Night Sorrow, the receptionist's speed and attack were nothing. What he needed to do was to pretend that he was being suppressed and wait for the other party's counterattack. In the battle that followed, Night Sorrow continued to hold on to this idea and continued to be beaten passively. However, even though the receptionist and the black python had become much stronger, they were still unable to break through his defenses and cause him serious injuries. In the eyes of the audience, Night Sorrow was still being suppressed. However, the receptionist in the middle of the battle quickly realized that something was wrong. He snorted and said, "You've been hiding your strength. What are you planning? You're about to die. What's the use of thinking about this?" Night Sorrow sneered and transmitted his voice to the receptionist. He didn't deny that he was hiding his strength. However, in the eyes of others, they couldn't see this at all. They could only see Night Sorrow being suppressed and unable to resist at all as he fled pathetically. They couldn't see the meaning behind it. After that, the receptionist, who had exhausted all his means, became more and more flustered. He had realized that he was very likely not a match for Night Sorrow. However, in the life and death arena, there was no reason for two people to walk down together. What? Did you see the Grim Reaper? Yes, he's about to descend. Night Sorrow continued to transmit his voice calmly. He still looked very passive and was being suppressed very miserably. Especially the Black Python's attack, which seemed to have caused a lot of damage. In fact, nothing happened at all. At this time, the receptionist was completely flustered and didn't know how to deal with it. He wanted to say that Night Sorrow was hiding his strength, but if he couldn't get down from the life and death arena, then he would be completely defeated. What was the use of saying this? Just as he was thinking, the receptionist and the Black Python's counterattack came one after another. Counterattack? Serves you right. It's my turn to attack. Finally, the receptionist and the Black Python's counterattack came. Night Sorrow shouted and attacked with the black spear in his hand. At this time, the receptionist and the Black Python's counterattack was more serious than Night Sorrow had imagined. They had regressed to the level of a lower earthly sovereign. With such strength, if they continued to fight, they naturally couldn't organize any attacks. In an instant, the situation was suddenly reversed. It was Night Sorrow's turn to suppress and attack them. However, under Night Sorrow's deliberate control, the battle continued for a long time before it completely ended. In the end, the receptionist and the Black Python, whose strength continued to decline, were successfully killed by him. Although he didn't use his true strength in the eyes of outsiders, it was completely different. In the eyes of the crowd, Night Sorrow's victory over the strong was not easy to come by. They all cheered. They didn't mind watching the show. Night Sorrow immediately kept the receptionist's spatial device and other items into his own body. The receptionist in front of him must have stood in this position for many years. He knew that there must be a lot of blackthorn crystals in his spatial device. This was also one of the reasons why he took the risk to challenge him. Oh, there really is a lot of blackthorn crystals. After Night Sorrow threw the receptionist's spatial magic tool into his own space grotto heaven. White-browed Wanderer checked it and immediately shouted. Although there weren't any decent artifacts or books in the receptionist's spatial device, there were still a lot of blackthorn crystals. There were about 700,000 of them, which was already about half of the teleportation fee. It could be said to be a great harvest. This guy really has a lot of greed. After hearing Bai Mei Sanren's words, Night Sorrow immediately smiled and transmitted his voice. Although there were no bets in this battle, the rewards he obtained were much more abundant than the previous battle. Night Sorrow, Bai Mei Sanren, and Qin Qingyun were very satisfied with such a harvest. However, just as the battle ended, a half-step Heavenly Supreme appeared in the sky above the arena of life and death. He looked at Night Sorrow and said, "Did you kill receptionist number 1? Yes, I did. However, I fought him fairly in the arena of life and death. The city governor's mansion isn't trying to find trouble with me, right?" Night Sorrow raised his head and looked at the other party in the sky. "Come with me." The half-step Heavenly Supreme in the sky didn't answer the question. Instead, he said coldly. Chapter 3100. Am I going with you to the city governor's mansion? I'm not going. Night Sorrow said coldly as he looked at the half-step Heavenly Sovereign in the sky. He felt that he would become a sitting duck if he went to the city governor's mansion. Naturally, he did not want to go. It's the city governor's decision whether to go or not. It's not up to you to resist. Don't make me attack you or you won't be able to handle it. The half-step Heavenly Sovereign in the void looked at Yishang with a cold gaze. It was obvious that he was ready to attack if Night Sorrow refused again. However, Night Sorrow still refused. He said coldly, "What does the city governor's decision have to do with me? I'm not a member of the city governor's mansion. I have the right to choose where to go or not to go. You don't have the right to tell me what to do. If you have the ability to kill me, then do it. I'd rather be killed than be led by the nose." You're quite interesting. However, in this place it's always strength that speaks. If you don't have the strength, you don't have the right to be arrogant. The half-step Heavenly Sovereign in the sky was obviously not easy to talk to. Being touched on the forehead, he was immediately enraged and attacked Yi Chang. Speaking with strength? You don't have the right either. This time, Night Sorrow did not continue to attack. Instead, he summoned his evil spirit clone. After the evil spirit clone appeared, it roared and attacked the half-step Heavenly Sovereign in front of him. Although Night Sorrow's spiritual strength was not as strong as that of a half-step Heavenly Sovereign, The evil spirit clone had the strength of a heavenly sovereign. Night Sorrow controlled the evil spirit clone and attacked the half-step heavenly sovereign in front of him. The half-step heavenly sovereign was immediately sent flying. A heavenly sovereign? After being sent flying, the half-step heavenly sovereign in the city governor's mansion was surprised. However, after observing for a while, he said coldly, "So it's a heavenly sovereign evil spirit that has gained sentience. How dare you cause trouble in Baotu City? Aren't you afraid that the city governor will destroy you?" "I'm causing trouble? You're really spouting nonsense." The evil spirit clone roared in disdain. It continued to attack and completely suppressed the half-step heavenly sovereign. "Boss-san, that's enough. He's a guest. This isn't how you treat a guest." After they fought for a while, a voice suddenly sounded in the void. This voice was full of confidence. It was obviously a Sky Supreme. Upon hearing that voice, the half-step heavenly sovereign in the void immediately got down on one knee and said, "City Lord, get up." The city lord of the Baotu city, Bao Tuqian, observed the evil spirit's clone and realized the same thing as Bao San. He had thought that the evil spirit clone had gained sentience after the fall of a heavenly sovereign. With a smile on his face he said, "Brother, you're truly a man of great fortune. In fact, you misunderstood. I wanted to summon number 18 to the mansion not to take revenge for the receptionist. I have something else to discuss." The city lord in front of him was very polite when he spoke. He obviously didn't have any ill intentions. Night Sorrow controlled the evil spirit avatar and asked, "What is it?" "I'm sure you've heard of the Slaughtering Heaven Academy, right? To tell you the truth, the selection of Lu Tian Academy is about to start again. I need to recommend 3 geniuses to participate. If they get good results, I'll be handsomely rewarded. However, Baotu City is located at the edge of the fog zone, so there are very few geniuses. When I saw number 18 killing the receptionist, my heart was moved, and I wanted to nurture him to participate in the Killer Heaven Academy selection competition." City Lord Bao Tuqian said to the evil spirit clone. Then he looked at Yishang and asked, "What do you think? Lu Tian Academy?" Night Sorrow had mentioned the Lu Tian Academy when he was chatting with Chen Qingyun and the others. It was the gathering place of the geniuses in the fog zone. If he wanted to help the Supreme Longevity find a suitable body, Night Sorrow had to go there. However, he had already promised Chen Qingyun to save his wife. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow said, "Of course, I want to participate in the selection of Lu Tian Academy. However, I have something to attend to now, so I don't have time to participate. If there's anything you need to settle, just tell me. I'll help you solve it." City Lord Bao Tuqian blurted out upon hearing this. "Actually, it's not difficult. It's just that it's located very far away, so you'll need to go there through a teleportation formation. You'll need a lot of blackthorn crystals." Night Sorrow said before he continued, "I'm participating in the Ring of Life and Death because I need a lot of blackthorn crystals." Baotu obviously did not realize there was something wrong with him. Night Sorrow thought it would be difficult for others to see through his real identity. Since Baotu wanted to help, he would not hold back. After all, the fog zone was full of enemies. "Master, he's blackmailing you," Bao San said immediately after hearing Night Sorrow's words. "Back off. Don't talk too much." Baotu looked at Night Sorrow and asked, "How many blackthorn crystals do you need?" "It'll cost 5 million blackthorn crystals to teleport there and 5 million blackthorn crystals to teleport back," Night Sorrow said straightforwardly. Bao Tuqian said with a smile, "Very well. I'll give you 3 million blackthorn crystals." He understood that since Night Sorrow mentioned that he needed blackthorn crystals to teleport back, he had promised him. "Master, you're a smart man," Night Sorrow said as he took the blackthorn crystals from Baotu. Then he said, "When will the selection begin?" 132 years later. "But you'll have to come back within 30 years. I'd like to use some resources to improve your strength," Bao Tuqian continued. That was the truth, and it was also a temptation for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was well aware of that. He said, "Don't worry, Master. I'll be back as soon as possible." After saying this, he and the evil spirit avatar walked side by side, heading straight for the teleportation array. The teleportation formation in Baotu City belongs to us, so there's no need to use the blackthorn crystals. When City Lord Bao Tuqian saw Yishang heading straight for the teleportation formation, he didn't stop him. He only called out to him. After that, Night Sorrow used the teleportation formation in Baotu City without using any blackthorn crystals. This Supreme Bao Tuqian is pretty bold, asking us to leave right away. After leaving Baodu City through the teleportation formation, Qin Qingyun immediately sent a voice transmission to Night Sorrow. Now that everyone was on the way to rescue his wife, he was in a good mood. Originally, he thought that Night Sorrow would have to fight many more battles to collect enough blackthorn crystals. It's not that he's bold, but there's something wrong with the blackthorn crystals he gave me. These things have his aura, and it can't be removed without the strength of a heavenly sovereign. If I don't return to Baodu City within 100 years, he'll definitely find me. Night Sorrow said. Then he asked, Sister-in-law, where is it in Cloud Breath mining area? Chapter 3101. Yunshi mining area is controlled by Heavenly Supremacy Yunshi. Everyone there is enslaved by him and his subordinates. The location of the personnel is not fixed. It all depends on where the Blackthorn crystal mine is found. Qin Qingyun said and continued, after we arrive, we still need to investigate carefully. It shouldn't be easy to investigate under the control of a Heavenly Supremacy. If we want to investigate, do we need to sneak in? Night Sorrow asked doubtfully. Although he had not gone yet, he had already guessed what they needed to do after arriving at Yunshi mining area. That was to sneak into the mining area and use their identities to find out the whereabouts of Qin Qingyun's wife. After rescuing her, they would escape from Yunshi mining area. To the current Night Sorrow, the greatest threat was naturally the Heavenly Supremacy. Anything that involved a Heavenly Supremacy was extremely dangerous. And he could not let Heavenly Supremacy bow to help with this matter. Otherwise, the other party might very well guess his identity. Because the cultivators in the fog zone did not value relationships much, it was unlikely that they would do such things for a woman. Yes, if we want to do this, we have to sneak in. This is a little dangerous. But I really have no choice. Qin Qingyun said somewhat embarrassedly. Before this, he did not mention the danger of this matter. At this moment, Night Sorrow asked doubtfully, Brother Qin, were you originally a subordinate of Heavenly Supremacy Yunshi? Yes. Qin Qingyun said without hesitation. Then why was Brother Qin sent to the Eternal Supreme World and the Grotto Heavens? Night Sorrow had asked these questions before. Asking again now was not because he suspected the other party, but because he wanted to clarify the matter. At this moment he had a better understanding of the fog zone. If he asked some more questions he could make some deductions. I've already asked this question last time. But now that I think about it, I can't be sure if what Heavenly Supremacy Yunshi said is accurate. It's as if there's a conspiracy hidden in it. It's just that at our level we can't come into contact with it at all. Qin Qingyun tried to recall, but his memories were not clear. His intuition told him that Heavenly Supremacy Yunshi's scheme was not that simple. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow continued to ask, is there anyone above Heavenly Sovereign Cloud Breath? Back then he had not come into contact with the creatures in the foggy area. He had thought that they were all animals without intelligence and only knew how to kill. Now that he had come into contact with them, he realized that they were not as simple as they seemed. They were indeed bloodthirsty and violent, but none of them were fools. Since Heavenly Sovereign Cloud Breath had sent everyone to the Eternal Supreme Realm, there shouldn't be such a simple reason. To be honest, I don't know. Because he couldn't come into contact with such a high level. Even now, I can't be sure if what I said to you in the Eternal Paragon Realm was true. Now that he thought about it, Qin Qingyun felt like he was in a dream when he was in the fog. He wasn't sure what was real and what was fake. Then, Qin Qingyun continued, we don't even remember how we got to the Eternal Supreme Realm. Feels weird. Is it possible that entering the Eternal Paragon world from the foggy region isn't easy? Qin Qingyun's words immediately made Night Sorrow think of something. Cultivators from the Eternal Sovereign world could enter the Misty region at will. But it wouldn't be so easy for creatures in the foggy region to enter the Eternal Supreme Realm. Seems so. But I can't be sure at all. It seems that there's a great formation in the Eternal Supreme Realm. I don't know who set it up. Qin Qingyun said with uncertainty. When he was being controlled by the fog, everything he experienced was like a dream. Alright. Let's check it out in the Cloud Breath mining area. Night Sorrow knew that even he couldn't be sure of what Qin Qingyun said. He basically cleared it out. But combined with the big and small Grotto Heavens, Night Sorrow speculated that the current foggy region should only be able to send half-step earthly sovereigns to sneak into the Eternal Supreme Realm. This could prove that the Eternal Supreme Realm's formation might be loosening. It shouldn't be long before earthly sovereigns could be sent over. If it evolved into a heavenly sovereign who could enter at will, then things wouldn't be simple. I guess that normally, after 10,000 years, even the ultimate sovereign realm can enter? Night Sorrow speculated, but he couldn't be sure and was prepared to verify it in the Cloud Breath mining area. After teleporting to the nearest city to the Cloud Breath mining area, Cloud Breath City, Night Sorrow kept Qin Qingyun and the evil spirit clone. Using the remaining blackthorn crystals in his hands, he stayed in the city and then inquired about how to enter the Cloud Breath mining area. Through his inquiries, Night Sorrow understood that as long as blackthorn crystals were found in the Cloud Breath mining area, there would be a shortage of manpower. At that time, cultivators would be hired in the Cloud Breath City to join the excavation. If he joined alone as a stranger, it would definitely be inconvenient. Therefore, not long after staying in the Cloud Breath City, Night Sorrow joined a small group of cultivators. This small group of cultivators had more than 10 cultivators and had been in the Cloud Breath City for many years. They did everything. Usually, they would accept hunting missions, but every time there was a mission in the Cloud Breath mining area, they would participate. After joining this small group, Night Sorrow went out of the city to do more than 10 hunting missions with them. He could be considered familiar with the group and had gained their recognition in terms of strength. The only flaw was that the Cloud Breath mining area had not released any missions. After waiting for more than 3 years, there was no news at all. This made Night Sorrow a little impatient. However, in this year, near the Cloud Breath City, they discovered a small world that contained opportunities. Everyone in the Cloud Breath mining area was instantly interested. Under the leadership of their leader, Cloud Breath, they went to the small world to search for opportunities. In the Cloud Breath mining area, other than Night Sorrow, the remaining 13 people were all earthly sovereigns. Their leader, Cloud Breath, was an upper earthly sovereign and his strength was not bad. However, even if they attacked together, they were still no match for Night Sorrow. Therefore, Night Sorrow wasn't afraid to go with them to search for opportunities, so he followed them into the small world. After entering the small world, Night Sorrow was surprised to find a familiar aura. That aura was hard to describe, but it seemed to have a strange connection with him. After thinking carefully, Night Sorrow couldn't think of anything. However, at this moment Little 7 and Little 9 were excited. Little 9 said, "In this small world, there are other parts of the Eternal Divine Tower. It shouldn't be Little 8 because according to the news I received, Little 8 isn't here. It should be the other parts." Great. This is really a pleasant surprise. Hearing Little 9's words, Night Sorrow's heart was instantly excited. If he could find another part of the Eternal Divine Tower, he would have gathered 1/3 of the Eternal Divine Tower. In addition to Little 8's whereabouts, he would be one step closer to gathering the Eternal Divine Tower. If he could gather the Eternal Divine Tower, it would be an ultimate divine artifact. How could Night Sorrow not look forward to this? Chapter 3102. Little 7, Little 9, can you sense its location? In his excitement, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to Little 7 and Little 9. Little 9 immediately replied, "Of course I can sense it, but its condition is a little strange. It should be controlled by the murderous aura." "It's okay. If it's controlled by the murderous aura, I can help to purify it." Night Sorrow said and continued, "When we go in later, the two of you will point out its direction for me. Don't worry. That kind of feeling won't break." Little 7 said and continued, "But if we can sense it, it will definitely be able to sense us. Maybe we don't even need to look for it, it will find us." "That's true. What you said makes sense. But no matter what, I have to shake off these people in front of me." While Night Sorrow transmitted his voice, he looked at the cultivators of the Cloud Devil team. He still needed to rely on these people to sneak into the Cloud Breath mining area. Therefore he didn't want them to all die here. Moreover, they couldn't know about the Eternal Divine Tower. Otherwise, it might lead to unnecessary trouble. It's easy to shake them off. But if you want to shake them off and ensure that these people don't all die, that's a little difficult. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Baimei Sanren frowned and said, he didn't think of any reliable method. At this moment, Night Sorrow, who had been silent for a while, said, "Actually, it's simple. As long as I set up an array and trap them inside, the matter will be resolved. But it needs to be carefully designed. We can't let them sense anything strange. Of course, later when we encounter danger or start a battle, your chance will come." When Baimei Sanren said this, the people of the Cloud Devil team really encountered an attack. What attacked them was a large number of evil spirit bats in the small world. These evil spirit bats had all lost their souls, but their bodies were still intact. And their bodies were extremely strong, basically at the level of Earth Supremes. The number of evil spirit bats was almost the same, and they almost filled the entire void. They swarmed towards Yishang and the others from all directions. The cultivators of the Cloud Devil Squad had been doing hunting missions all year round. Naturally, they wouldn't be so easily frightened. He immediately began to fight with these ghost bats. They had the upper hand in terms of strength, but these ghost bats could actually split into 2 and 2 into 4. There were already a lot of them to begin with, but after the battle, their numbers became even more numerous. Under such circumstances, the cultivators of the Cloud Devil Squad gradually began to feel the strain. 2 cultivators were even torn to shreds by the ghost bats. At this time, Baimei Sanrin transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. If this continues, the Cloud Devil Squad will definitely be wiped out. It will affect our rescue plan. Originally, I wanted to trap them and then my true body and the evil spirit clone would search for them together. But now it seems that if my true body leaves, then it's very likely that all of them will die in battle. While Night Sorrow was fighting against the evil spirit bats, he transmitted his voice to everyone. Since that's the case, my main body will stay here and help them fight. I'll control the evil spirit clone and bring you along to search. This will save us the trouble of wasting time. Alright. That works too. However, can the evil spirit clone use the power of merit? If we find the target, we might need to use the power of merit. Little Seven transmitted his voice to ask. I'll just inject the power of merit into the evil spirit clone. As Night Sorrow explained, he secretly released the evil spirit clone during the battle. He controlled the evil spirit clone and brought everyone to search for the other part of the Eternal Divine Tower. Just as they left the site of the Cloud Devil Squad, Night Sorrow released Little Seven and Little Nine. In his grotto heaven, the other part of the Eternal Divine Tower could sense them, but it was definitely very weak. It was the same for Little Seven and Little Nine. It's close. It's approaching us quickly. Night Sorrow had just released Little Seven and Little Nine when Little Seven spoke excitedly. It could clearly sense that the other part of the Eternal Divine Tower was extremely close to them. Let's find a good place to wait. Night Sorrow controlled the evil spirit clone to say this. Then he found an empty corner and set up a simple array. The other part of the Eternal Divine Tower would definitely rush over. He didn't want to let it escape, so he set up a trap array. Night Sorrow, is the level of the trap array you set up high enough? Our Eternal Divine Tower is capable of breaking through some formations. Seeing Night Sorrow setting up the array, Little Seven immediately said this. Whether it's enough or not, you and Little Nine can test it out. I remember that your ability to break arrays isn't very strong. Yi Shang said with a smile. Soon he finished setting up the array. Little Seven didn't believe in heresy and gave it a try. Instantly it was trapped inside and couldn't get out. The Eternal Divine Tower could break all arrays in the world, but with these parts separated, its ability to break arrays wasn't as strong. Otherwise, when Night Sorrow needed it, Little Seven would have already taken action. Night Sorrow. I feel that since we've already done it, we might as well do it to the end. Set up the 5-bull array as well. Little Seven felt the power of the trap array and continued to say with confidence. Alright. But I don't know if we have enough time. Night Sorrow said and began to set up the 5-bull array. Little Nine was responsible for sensing the other part of the Eternal Divine Tower. According to its senses, the other part of the Eternal Divine Tower could be reached in about 10 breaths. Night Sorrow definitely couldn't complete the 5-bull array in such a time, so he didn't make a move just now. However, after Night Sorrow began to set up the array, Little Nine said, It's already very close to us. But it suddenly lowered its speed. Lowered its speed? Is it alerted? Night Sorrow asked doubtfully. If the other part of the Eternal Divine Tower didn't come over, there was no point in him setting up any array. It doesn't seem like it. It stopped and its aura fluctuated. It might have encountered something. It's fighting. Little Nine indistinctly judged. It's fighting. This is not good. Let's abandon the array in front of us and look for it directly. Just in case, Night Sorrow said. Not for now. I can sense that it hasn't encountered much pressure. Otherwise its aura wouldn't change like this. If its aura has a major change, we'll go over. Little Nine said with certainty. It still understood the other parts of the Eternal Divine Tower very well. There shouldn't be any mistakes. Hearing this, Night Sorrow said, Then I'll continue to set up the 5-bull array. After saying that, he continued to set up the 5-bull array. It took about 2 hours before he finally finished setting up the 5-bull array. At this time he asked, Little Nine, how is it over there? Chapter 3103. They're still fighting over there, but their aura hasn't changed. Shall we continue to wait? Little Nine asked inquisitively. He didn't know what Yishang was thinking at the moment. Let's not be anxious. Maybe they're just like us, waiting for us. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, at this moment, we need to be patient. Let's continue to wait. If there's any change, we'll take action. Okay. Then we'll continue to wait. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Little Nine replied. Then, everyone began to wait for news from the other side. About 6 hours passed and the other side still didn't make any moves. At this moment, Night Sorrow said, let's go over. If they're not setting up a trap, they're in trouble. But wouldn't the array you set up be a waste? Seeing that Night Sorrow had the intention to go, Little Seven immediately said. Of course it won't be useless. If they're waiting, we'll pretend that we're not their match and escape back into the array. If they're really in danger, we'll go and help. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, he led everyone to the other level of the Eternal Divine Tower. When he arrived, he discovered that on the other level of the Eternal Divine Tower, there was a cultivator from the foggy area fighting against the evil spirit bats. They were tightly surrounded by the evil spirit bats. It seemed that the Eternal Divine Tower and this cultivator were together. This cultivator looked like an ordinary human. He had the strength of an upper earthly sovereign and his aura was much more evil than an ordinary earthly sovereign. His entire body was emitting a terrifying black aura. This is the 5th level of the Eternal Divine Tower. When Little Seven and Little Nine approached, they immediately determined that this was the 5th level. At this moment, the 5th level should have already submitted to the cultivator in front of them. There was a dense black aura on this cultivator's body, which was completely different from Night Sorrow, Little Seven and Little Nine's aura. The 5th level. He should have already submitted to the cultivator in front of us. Night Sorrow used his evil spirit clone to sense and immediately transmitted his voice to Little Seven and Little Nine. Submission is different from our relationship? Little Seven asked. He, Little Nine and Night Sorrow were working together. They were equal to each other and there was no such thing as submission or control. It's different. The 5th level should have been enslaved by him. Night Sorrow made his judgment. At that moment, the cultivator who had been enslaved on the 5th floor suddenly spoke up. It was originally a heavenly supreme evil spirit, but it was reborn with intelligence. What a lucky man. No wonder it could gather 2 floors. However, from today onwards, these 2 levels belong to me. As soon as he spoke, the countless ghost bats in the surroundings immediately stopped attacking. Clearly they were putting on an act. So these ghost bats are all under your control. Good move. Night Sorrow probed with his divine sense and discovered that there were more than 10 million ghost bats in the surroundings. Moreover, these ghostly bats were basically at the level of earthly sovereigns. They would not be easy to deal with. He silently transmitted his voice to everyone. Not good, but it's still within our control. Little Seven immediately asked, should we escape back into the array immediately? Escape immediately. He will be suspicious. Let's fight him first. While Night Sorrow replied to Little Seven, he also sensed the situation on his main body's side. At that moment, the ghost bats had also stopped attacking. It seemed that everything was already in front of him. From the beginning to the end, the cultivator in front of him was the one controlling these ghost bats. Since there was no longer any threat on his side, Night Sorrow began to think of a way to let his main body escape. Let me see how strong you are to be able to gather 2 floors of the Eternal Divine Tower. On this side, the cultivator controlling the thousands of ghost bats roared and attacked Night Sorrow. However, he did not immediately make the ghost bats attack. The 5th level of the Eternal Divine Tower beside him seemed to be completely controlled. Little Seven and Little Nine tried to communicate with it, but there was no effect at all. You want to fight me with just you? What a joke. Facing the cultivator's attack, Night Sorrow sneered and controlled the ghost clone to fight with him. The ghost clone had the strength of a true heavenly supreme. Night Sorrow was very confident in its toughness. When fighting, he did not use any defense at all. He just attacked the cultivator in front of him. After fighting for about 50 breaths, the black-robed cultivator's expression changed completely. He realized that his attack could not shake the opponent in front of him at all. Looks like you are indeed extraordinary. How about this? I'll give you a chance to submit. If you submit to me, I'll give you endless resources. My name is Chao Ling. You should have heard of me, right? The black-robed cultivator, Chao Ling, had an arrogant look on his face. Chao Ling? I've never heard of you. You should submit to me. Night Sorrow did not have any intention to pay attention to him. He thought to himself, if you only have this little strength, then I don't even need to lure you back into the array. After saying that, he took out his black spear and attacked the opponent. Initially, Night Sorrow was a little wary of the ghost bats in the void. However, the battle with Chao Ling allowed him to understand a principle, and that was that these ghost bats were probably unable to break through his defense. The defense of a heavenly supreme was not something that ordinary people could break through. If one did not have the strength of a half-step heavenly supreme, they should not be a threat. What? You haven't even heard of me, Chao Ling. Are you still a cultivator of the fog? Night Sorrow had no intention of indulging him at all. This surprised Chao Ling. That was because he was indeed very famous in the fog. His father was one of the 10 great generals under Annihilation, one of the 3 great experts. In the fog, he was one of the characters who could summon the wind and summon the rain. If I haven't heard of you, it means that you're not famous enough. Night Sorrow, who had just had his spear blocked, said and attacked again. Under his sharp attacks, Chao Ling was completely suppressed. At this moment, Chao Ling had started to control the ghost bats and ordered them to attack Yi Sorrow. However, these ghost bats could not break through the defense of a heavenly supreme. Seeing that the situation was not good, Chao Ling suddenly summoned an extremely huge bat puppet. This bat puppet was a half-step heavenly supreme puppet, but its aura was infinitely close to that of a heavenly supreme. Its strength was not much different from Night Sorrow's ghost clone. Although it was a puppet, it looked similar to the ghost bats. After being summoned, it immediately flapped its wings and attacked Night Sorrow with sound waves. What a sharp attack! Night Sorrow immediately sensed danger. The bat puppet's attack was much stronger than Chao Ling's. He knew that although Chao Ling was trash, he was definitely not going to be easy to deal with in this battle. Although Chao Ling did not have much ability, he definitely had many tricks up his sleeve. He might even summon a real heavenly supreme at a critical moment. Clan M. Chapter 3104. Dragon's Roar and Phoenix's Cry. Night Sorrow immediately used the Dragon's Roar and Phoenix's Cry to fight against the puppet bat's sonic attack. This was his strongest Divine Soul attack at the moment. Boom. Night Sorrow's mind was filled with thoughts. Once he used this move, he immediately blasted the puppet bat's attack back. However, this puppet bat did not have a Divine Soul at all, so it did not cause much damage to it. Qingshen Godly Spear Technique. The Divine Soul attack did not have any effect on the puppet bat. Night Sorrow immediately held the black spear in his hand and used the Qingshen Godly Spear Technique against the puppet bat. This set of attacks contained several of the Eternal Sovereign Realm's divine abilities. Moreover, it was integrated with the murderous aura of the fog. Its attack power was even stronger than in the Eternal Supreme World. Using the body of a heavenly supreme, it quickly suppressed the puppet bat. What? The puppet bat was suppressed so quickly. Chao Ling was very surprised that the puppet bat was suppressed so quickly. However, after the puppet bat was suppressed, he took out a yellow talisman. Then he used his blood to activate the talisman. After it was activated, a figure immediately rose from the talisman. This figure was one of the 10 generals under Mie Chaojian. However, this was just his virtual image. It couldn't even be considered a clone. This was Chao Ling's strongest move in the fog. This time, Night Sorrow's strength had exceeded his expectations. Therefore he did not use some of his trump cards. He was afraid that he would be killed if he was careless. Boom. At the same time that Chao Jian's shadow was summoned, the puppet bat's core was pierced by Night Sorrow's black spear, and it exploded into pieces. You can stop now. At this time, Chao Jian's shadow looked at Night Sorrow and said, You were originally dead, but you gave birth to spiritual intelligence in the body of an evil spirit. This is not easy. It would be a pity to destroy you directly. Hand over the 2 eternal divine towers in your hands. I will let you follow me. Who do you think you are? Do you think you are qualified to order me around? Night Sorrow said disdainfully as he looked at Chao Jian's shadow. The other party was very strong, but it was impossible for him to hand over Little 7 and Little 9 and submit. Bastard. Since you don't know what's good for you, this marshal is too lazy to talk nonsense with you. Die. As one of the most respected people in the fog zone, Chao Jian had never been provoked like this before. He didn't waste any time and immediately formed a seal with his shadow and slammed his palm towards Night Sorrow. In terms of technique, this palm strike was a true heavenly supreme level attack. However, the power of the heavenly sovereign's projection was not even 1/10 of the real body's. After making a decision, Night Sorrow directly controlled the demon clone and fought it head-on. His attack also contained some heavenly supreme laws and essence. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to suppress the puppet bat so easily. Boom. When the two of them collided, a huge energy ripple immediately appeared in the void. Many things in the surroundings were directly destroyed. Although Chao Ling also had some strength, she was also injured by the attack. After exchanging a blow, Chao Jian's shadow sneered and said, "How dare you provoke this marshal with such little strength? You must be tired of living." Then he warned Chao Ling to be careful and began to attack Night Sorrow's demon clone crazily. Under Chao Jian's suppression, although Night Sorrow's strength was slightly weaker, he didn't retreat at all. Although he was no match for Chao Jian, he was honing his fighting skills. Although Chao Jian was very strong, he was a shadow after all, which was perfect for him to practice his skills. This guy is too strong. It's hard for us to win. Bai Mei Sanren said with a frown when he saw that Night Sorrow was being suppressed. At this moment, Night Sorrow replied, "No matter how difficult the process is today, the final winner will be us." After saying that, he continued to fight Chao Jian. After fighting for about an hour, Night Sorrow was a little exhausted and couldn't control the demon clone anymore. Therefore, he began to escape towards the Five Bulls formation and prepared to lure Chao Jian and Chao Ling into the Five Bulls formation. At this moment, Night Sorrow's original body had also arrived, but he didn't show up. Trying to escape? Not so easy. The father and son pair, Chao Jian and Chao Ling, were used to running amok in the fog. Seeing that Night Sorrow was no match for them and was escaping, they didn't doubt him and chased after him. As he had to bring Chao Ling along, Chao Jian didn't burst out with his fastest speed. However, he was still closing the distance between them. Before long, he almost caught up with Night Sorrow's demon clone. At this moment, Night Sorrow's original body appeared and continued to control the demon clone to escape towards the Five Bulls formation. "You have companions? I can catch all of you in one fell swoop." Seeing Night Sorrow's original body appear, Chao Jian roared coldly. "You still don't understand who will catch all of you in one fell swoop." Night Sorrow laughed coldly in his heart and sped up with the evil spirit doppelganger. Soon he brought Chao Jian and Chao Ling into the Five Bulls formation. After entering the formation, Night Sorrow immediately stopped and began to let the demon clone consume elixirs to recover. Why aren't you running anymore? Can't run anymore? Then prepare to die. You, a nameless pawn, want to occupy the Eternal Devil Tower? Dream on. The father and son, who were led by the nose by Night Sorrow, still didn't understand what was going on. At this moment, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "You're about to die, but you don't know it." "What did you say? Prepare to die. A supreme stage ant dares to speak to me like this." As one of the 10 great demon marshals under annihilation, Chao Jian had always been very proud. After being ridiculed by Night Sorrow, he immediately flew into a rage and attacked again. Chao Ling at the side cheered for him. After all, his strength was relatively weak. Even if he attacked, it wouldn't be of much use. Five Bulls formation rise. In the face of Chao Jian's attack, Night Sorrow, who didn't want to cause trouble, immediately recited the incantation and activated the Five Bulls formation. After the formation was activated, the sound of 5 bulls was immediately heard. The 5 bull sounds were like thunder from the sky. After being bombarded by it, Chao Jian's virtual shadow became dim at a speed visible to the naked eye. This 5 bulls formation had the greatest impact on the soul. Chao Jian's virtual shadow couldn't withstand it at all. "Father, save me." On the other side, Chao Ling couldn't withstand the impact of the 5 bulls formation and roared loudly. At this moment he only felt like his head was being crushed. It was very uncomfortable. Father's virtual shadow can't even protect itself. At this moment, Chao Jian's virtual shadow, who was attacked by the 5 bulls formation, said coldly. He didn't expect that a nameless pawn not only ignored his name, but also set up such a mysterious formation and made him fall into a trap. He himself was fine. He only lost a virtual shadow. He could refine it casually. But in front of him, Chao Ling was obviously in danger. Clan M. Chapter 3105. Let my son go and you can take the Eternal Devil Tower. Seeing that the situation was not right, Chao Jian's projection thought for a moment and made a prompt decision. Hand over the Eternal Devil Tower and we'll talk about other things. Night Sorrow said coldly. Now that he had the upper hand, he did not give the other party a chance to refute. Okay. Chao Ling, give him the Eternal Devil Tower. Chao Jian's projection was clearly about to collapse, so he agreed to Night Sorrow's request without hesitation. Hearing this, Chao Ling shouted reluctantly, "Father!" She clearly did not want to hand it over. At this moment, Chao Jian immediately transmitted his voice, "Hand it over, don't seek your own death." Okay. Chao Ling only calmed down when she heard Chao Jian's cold snort and realized their situation. If she did not do as Night Sorrow said, it would be difficult for them to leave this formation alive. Here. After hesitating for a moment, Chao Ling took out the 5th level of the Eternal Devil Tower and handed it to Night Sorrow. "Cut off the connection between you and it." After Night Sorrow took the 5th level of the Eternal Devil Tower, he immediately ordered Chao Ling to cut off the connection with it. At this moment, Chao Ling was still enslaving Small Tower. "Okay. I'll cooperate with you, but you have to let me go." With that, Chao Ling took control of the 5th level of the Eternal Devil Tower. Handing over the 5th level of the Eternal Devil Tower is what you should do. As for your lives, what are you going to sell it for? After Night Sorrow obtained the 5th level of the Eternal Devil Tower, he was actually very satisfied. But how to deal with Chao Ling was a problem. If he killed her, he would definitely be hunted down by Chao Jian, and even Annihilation might order him to be dragged out. At that time, it would be difficult for him to survive in the fog, not to mention sneaking into Lu Tian Academy. Therefore he could not kill Chao Ling. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, Chao Jian immediately saw his attitude and said, "I won't pursue this matter. I'll also give you some compensation, how about that?" Actually, this was what he meant. He and Night Sorrow were well aware of what was going on. "Okay. Then you make an oath." Night Sorrow was not interested in the so-called compensation and continued to speak. When he heard Night Sorrow asking him to make an oath, Chao Jian's expression changed. However, he recovered very quickly and said, "You are the first person to make this marshal swear an oath. You don't have to say that. Just do your own thing." Night Sorrow said coldly. He had a certain understanding of the creatures in the fog. He knew that they were basically people who went back on their word. But making an oath was a completely different story. Oaths were perfect checks and balances for cultivators. Since he had made the decision, he had to follow it. Otherwise he would be punished by the heavens. Good. This marshal is optimistic about your future. After Chao Jian said that, he immediately swore an oath and took Chao Ling away. Very good. This matter has been perfectly resolved, and it won't affect the subsequent plans. After Chao Jian and his son left, Bai Mei chuckled. In fact, just like Night Sorrow, he wanted to kill his opponent here. However, they all knew that this was not the time to act on impulse. They could not spoil the whole game because of a chess piece. Otherwise, it would be a loss for the greater good. Let's see how Little 5 is doing. After Chao Jian and Chao Ling left, Little 7 and Little 9 immediately said anxiously, "The murderous aura on its body is too strong. I need to help dispel it." Night Sorrow said. Then he used the power of merit in the array to help dispel the black aura on the 5th level. It took about 2 hours to completely dispel the murderous aura on the 5th level. After regaining clarity, he immediately saw Little 7 and Little 9 on the 5th level. He said excitedly, "The 7th and 9th levels. Are you the ones who saved me? I have been enslaved for God knows how many years. During this period, I lost my self-awareness. On the 5th level, call me Little 7, call him Little 9, and you will be called Little 5. The person who saved you is Night Sorrow. We are also saved by him. Look at yourself. There is no longer any black aura on your body." Little 7 immediately replied. Hearing this, Little 5 realized that not only had he regained his consciousness, but he had also completely escaped from the darkness. He immediately said excitedly, "That's great. That's great. After being the Eternal Devil Tower for so many years, I have finally regained my self-awareness today." Then he looked at Night Sorrow and said gratefully, "Thank you for saving me." "You're welcome. Actually, I want to gather all 9 levels of the Eternal Divine Tower." Night Sorrow did not hide his thoughts and explained to Little 5. Hearing this, Little 5 pondered for a moment and said, "It is not easy to gather all 9 levels. The other levels are easy, but the first level is in the main city of Extermination City. Usually, it is used by millions of cultivators for cultivation. It seems that it is indeed very difficult to get the first level. But there is no hurry. Let's take it slowly. First of all, welcome to us." Night Sorrow said to Little 5 and continued, "You guys catch up. I still have things to do." "Okay. You do what you need to do." Little 9 said and started chatting with Little 5 and Little 7. Night Sorrow left the 5 Bulls formation and secretly returned to Team Cloud Devil to help them break the formation. The formation was set up by Night Sorrow, so it was naturally broken very quickly. At this time, Chao Ling had already left, and the bats that filled the sky also disappeared. For the time being, Team Cloud Devil was not in any danger. At this time, Team Leader Cloud Devil said, "Although this trip was dangerous, it is really boring to go back without getting anything. Let's continue to go deeper." "Yes, Team Leader." Night Sorrow and the rest immediately responded. To Night Sorrow, he was already satisfied with obtaining the 5th level of the Eternal Divine Tower. As for the rest, it did not matter at all. He just followed them and did whatever he wanted. In the next few days, Team Cloud Devil encountered many dangers. Basically, it was Night Sorrow who helped everyone through it. Gradually, Team Cloud Devil and the rest naturally saw that Night Sorrow was extraordinary. Under their insistence, Night Sorrow was actually appointed as the vice team leader. Night Sorrow did not know whether to laugh or cry. However, becoming the vice team leader of Team Cloud Devil would definitely be helpful for the trip to Cloud Breath mining area. Therefore he did not refuse. Then, with the rest of the team, they went into the depths of the small world. However, Night Sorrow did not want to stay in the small world for too long, so he missed out on the Cloud Breath mining area. During the journey, he kept thinking about how to make everyone think of leaving as soon as possible. However, on a certain day 2 months later, Team Cloud Devil really bumped into an opportunity. They discovered a flower that was close to the level of a Heavenly Supreme, the Heavenly Spirit Flower. This flower was obviously a Heavenly Spirit Flower, but it had not fully bloomed. When it fully bloomed, it would definitely reach the level of a Heavenly Supreme. If a peak Earthly Supreme cultivator consumed it, they would definitely advance to the level of a Heavenly Supreme. It wasn't just Team Cloud Devil that was tempted by such a treasure. Even Night Sorrow was very interested. Chapter 3106. If they could obtain a Heavenly Spirit Flower that had matured to the level of a Heavenly Sovereign, it would undoubtedly be an opportunity for them to become a Heavenly Sovereign. This was a great opportunity. After all, in the Eternal Supreme World and the Fog, Heavenly Sovereigns were existences that were second only to one person and above tens of thousands. For ordinary cultivators, they were existences that only existed in legends. Night Sorrow, like the rest of the Cloud Devil squad, was unconsciously tempted by the flower. Leading the squad, Cloud Devil checked the surroundings and found that there were no life-bound beasts around the Heavenly Spirit Flower. From the looks of it, there was no danger. Cloud Devil said, "Everyone set up the formation immediately. Use all your abilities to set up the formation. Try to hide the Heavenly Spirit Flower completely. No matter what, we have to wait until it matures. If we pluck it now, it will consume too much energy." "Alright. I'll give it a try with everyone." After Cloud Devil finished speaking, Night Sorrow immediately stood up and expressed his opinion. The Heavenly Spirit Flower in front of them was definitely something good. Even if he lost his identity as a member of the Cloud Devil squad, he couldn't miss it. He prepared to set up the formation that he was good at. At this moment, Cloud Devil suddenly said, "Let Qin Feng set up the formation with the rest. After all, he has always been in charge of this kind of thing." Alright then." Night Sorrow glanced at Cloud Devil. After seeing the Heavenly Spirit Flower, Cloud Devil had been on guard against them. He immediately realized that it would have been fine if they didn't have the opportunity. However, once there was something good as an outsider, he would immediately be on guard. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow felt that if the Cloud Devil squad made a move against him, he would eliminate them and obtain the Heavenly Spirit Flower. Then he would use other methods to enter the Cloud Breath mining area. Next, under the leadership of another vice captain, Qin Feng, the Cloud Devil squad set up the concealment and attack formations. About 2 days later, all the formations were set up. Looking at the formations that Qin Feng and the rest had set up, Night Sorrow frowned. Although the formations they had set up seemed passable, they were only meant for earthly sovereigns and low-level earthly sovereigns. They were completely useless against half-step heavenly sovereigns. Moreover, the aura of the Heavenly Spirit Flower couldn't be hidden. It would definitely attract powerful cultivators. Considering the value of the Heavenly Spirit Flower, Night Sorrow said, "Captain, the array before me can't stop a half-step heavenly sovereign. There's still room for improvement. Why don't you let me set it up again? Otherwise, when the Heavenly Spirit Flower matured, it would definitely attract powerful enemies. With our strength, it's very difficult to protect it." Vice Captain Night Demon, by saying this, you are doubting Vice Captain Chen's ability. This is not right. In the future, don't say such things again. Otherwise, it will affect the harmony of the team. After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Captain Cloud Devil immediately retorted coldly. He did not bring up the issue of whether the array was of inferior quality. Instead, he directly changed the topic to the harmony of the team. Obviously, they didn't want Night Sorrow to touch the array, fearing that he would tamper with it. The reason why they didn't fall out with him immediately was probably because he had performed very well in the past few days and had saved many people. Alright. I don't care. I hope you won't regret it. When Night Sorrow heard Cloud Devil's words, he immediately pondered what to do. At this moment, if he went all out, he would definitely be able to wipe out all of Team Cloud Devil. But up until now, other than being on guard against him, Team Cloud Devil was doing pretty well in other aspects. They did not attack the Heavenly Spirit Flower after discovering it. With Night Sorrow's code of conduct, even if he was in the fog, he would not do such a ruthless thing. But if Cloud Devil and the rest were to target him first, he would not hesitate to wipe out the entire Cloud Devil team. After saying that, he began to think about how to deal with the various opponents he encountered. At this moment, Qin Qingyun transmitted his voice. Brother Yi, I know that you are unwilling to attack Team Cloud Devil because of my wife's matter. But you can't miss the Heavenly Spirit Flower in front of you. It's better to kill them all directly and then set up a concealment array. As for saving my wife, let's think about it at length. He felt that it was because of his wife that Night Sorrow was so timid. Hearing this, Night Sorrow replied, let's wait and see. If they do anything strange, I won't be polite. But if I attack rashly, I won't be able to get over it. But they are creatures of the fog and are destined to be on the opposite side of us. Why should we be polite to trash like them? Qin Qingyun said, puzzled. At this moment, Bai Mei Sanren said, if Night Sorrow did not have his own code of conduct, he would not have the power of merit he has today. Don't force him to make a move under such circumstances. This is not in line with his Dao heart. It will affect his Dao heart and affect his Dao. Alright then. Qin Qingyun nodded. At this moment, Little Seven suddenly transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow. We found a pleasant surprise. Although the three of us can't be perfectly combined. But when combined we can still increase our strength by a lot. We have the strength of a half-step Sky Supreme. And we have a certain amount of attack power. It's not like before where we only have defense and no attack power. Oh? That's a good thing. In that case, as long as the Heavenly Spirit Flower doesn't attract a Sky Supreme, we have a great chance. Upon hearing Little Seven's words, Night Sorrow said happily. He had no expectations for the current Eternal Divine Tower, but he did not expect them to bring a pleasant surprise. Now, Night Sorrow's Eternal Divine Tower had the combat power of a half-step Sky Supreme. Although the chaotic Heavenly Crystal Beast had just advanced to the Earth Supreme level, its strength was very strong and was basically not inferior to an Upper Earth Supreme. It was also a great help. Coupled with him and the evil spirit doppelganger, their true combat power was still very strong. While Night Sorrow and Little Seven were communicating, the members of Team Cloud Devil were also transmitting their voices to each other. After discovering the Heavenly Spirit Flower, many thoughts came to their minds. As cultivators of the fog, it was impossible for them not to covet such a rare treasure. It seemed that everyone had their own thoughts. Vice Captain Night Devil, how long do you think it will take for the Heavenly Spirit Flower to fully mature? While everyone had their own thoughts, Team Cloud Devil suddenly asked. Night Sorrow was still not used to the pseudonym Night Devil. After being called, he reacted for a while and said, I think it will take 1 to 3 years. Since it will take 1 to 3 years to mature, why don't you go out and do something for me, Vice Captain Night Devil? Cloud Devil looked at Night Sorrow and said. What do you want me to do at this juncture? Team Cloud Devil, you're not guarding against me, are you? Night Sorrow looked at Cloud Devil and asked with a sneer. Cloud Devil wanted to kick him out of the array in front of him so that he could not return. As long as one was not a fool, they would be able to react in time. The captain wants you to do something, so just do it. Stop talking nonsense. As soon as Night Sorrow finished speaking, the other vice captain, Qin Feng, roared in disdain. Clan M. Chapter 3107. Who do you think you are? You dare to order me around? Night Sorrow questioned gloomily. After Qin Feng berated him, his expression changed immediately. If this Cloud Devil squad was willing to talk things over, he would have no intention of making a move. However, at this moment the other party was obviously trying to pick a fight. Evidently they were trying to negotiate. You are an outsider trash. You want to share the heavenly spirit flower with us? Captain is already giving you face by allowing you to leave. Yet you don't know what's good for you. Aren't you courting death? After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Qin Feng spoke coldly. As he spoke, he took out a pitch-black cloak and draped it over his shoulders. It seemed like he was preparing to make a move. Hearing his words, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "So your Cloud Devil squad only needs people for missions. When you see something good, you kick people away. With such breadth of mind, your achievements will stop here. Is the accomplishments of my Cloud Devil squad something a mere sovereign like you can talk about?" After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Cloud Devil looked at Night Sorrow coldly and said, "You are an ant that loses control the moment you see a treasure? We gave you a chance to leave. Yet you insisted on fighting for the credit. Since you are courting death, don't blame us. The way I see it, Cloud Devil squad might be able to achieve something. However, it will definitely be under my leadership." At this time, Night Sorrow pondered and said, "I will immediately kill Cloud Devil and Qin Feng. The rest of you will follow me in the future." He felt that this method would not delay the treasure hunt, nor would it affect their plan to enter the Cloud Breath mining area. This was a perfect solution. "Ah, you are truly an arrogant person." Hearing Yi Shang's words, Qin Feng smiled and started chanting the mantra. Next, the cloak behind him became transparent. Next, his body completely merged with the void. He had become invisible. Night Sorrow used his soul to probe around and found that he was indeed unable to sense Qin Feng's aura. As for Cloud Devil, despite his gloomy expression, he did not make a move immediately. As far as he was concerned, Qin Feng was more than capable of dealing with Night Sorrow. There was simply no need for him to make a move himself. As for the other members of Cloud Devil's team, about half of them were loyal to Cloud Devil. The other half, after Night Sorrow spoke, had the idea of following whoever was stronger. After all, Cloud Devil was a very ruthless person, and Night Sorrow had saved a few lives before. It could be said that he had planted some seeds. Dragon roar and phoenix cry. He was unable to sense Qin Feng's location. However, Night Sorrow was clear that Qin Feng was definitely within the formation, looking for an opportunity to make his move. He might as well use the dragon's roar and phoenix's cry to launch a soul attack. Bus. When Night Sorrow used dragon roar and phoenix cry, a terrifying ripple appeared in the void. After this ripple appeared, it immediately intimidated everyone in the Cloud Devil squad. As for Qin Feng, who was hiding in the void and was about to make a move against Night Sorrow, he was immediately shaken out of the void. Qin Feng was a middle earthly sovereign. In the Cloud Devil squad, he could be considered the second strongest expert, second only to Cloud Devil. However, Night Sorrow had the strength to battle a half-step heavenly sovereign. How could Qin Feng compare to him? Although he had some tricks up his sleeve, they were all destroyed in an instant. How is this possible? After being shaken out of the void by Night Sorrow, Qin Feng was filled with disbelief. Night Sorrow's strength had far exceeded his expectations. One could say that Night Sorrow's strength had exceeded the limits of his control. He immediately transmitted his voice to Cloud Devil. "Captain, let's attack together. This Night Devil is not someone I can deal with." "All right. Since we have shed all pretenses of cordiality, there is nothing left to say. Everyone attack together and kill this Night Devil." Cloud Devil could also sense that Night Sorrow was not simple. The moment Qin Feng was shaken out of the void, he gave the order. Hearing this, most of the cultivators in the Cloud Devil squad took out their divine tools and prepared to encircle Night Sorrow. Apart from them, there were 4 or 5 cultivators that had been saved by Night Sorrow. They hesitated. Although the Fog Region's cultivators were extremely bloodthirsty, Night Sorrow had saved their lives. Thus they were still somewhat grateful. "Are you guys trying to rebel? What? Are you guys unwilling to make a move against him? Are you guys planning to go against me, Cloud Devil?" Cloud Devil was infuriated when he saw the hesitant cultivators. At the same time he berated them, it seemed like he was going to make a move against them. Under his pressure, these cultivators took out their divine tools as well. There are still a few of you who haven't completely lost your humanity. Seeing that a few cultivators were hesitating, Night Sorrow immediately committed their names to memory. Next he transmitted his voice to them. "Cloud Devil and Qin Feng are 2 pieces of trash. They won't amount to anything. When the battle starts, you guys can only put on a show. I will be able to kill them very soon. In the future, the Cloud Devil squad will be ours." "Good. We are willing to follow you." These cultivators transmitted their voices to Night Sorrow one after another. Basically, all of them gave a positive reply. This could be considered the choice of a crafty rabbit with 3 burrows. Night Sorrow understood this clearly. However, he did not need their loyalty. He only needed them to cooperate with him to maintain the Cloud Devil squad. Therefore this was enough. Cloud Devil could also see that these people seemed to be two-faced. He thought to himself, after dealing with this Night Devil, I will kill all of you. At the same time he started attacking Night Sorrow. Cloud Devil did not use his divine tool. Instead he used Cloud Devil's hand. In the air, a huge hand imprint was formed. It covered the sky and smashed toward Night Sorrow. You have some skills. Night Sorrow observed it with his clam dragon's eye. He discovered that this hand imprint was not an ordinary attack. That was because on the hand imprint, there were all sorts of ripples. Each ripple contained a powerful energy. Facing this attack he did not use his black spear. Instead he used Divine Finger. He had carefully concealed this move. What he used was a black aura, making it impossible for others to see its true nature. Bang! After the Divine Finger was used, it immediately pierced through the Cloud Devil's hand. What? He's so strong? The Cloud Devil's hand was one of Cloud Devil's 3 ultimate arts. However, it had been broken so easily by Night Sorrow. This surprised him greatly. He also had a new evaluation of Night Sorrow's strength. He shouted, "The Night Devil is very strong. Everyone use your full strength and deal with him quickly. Otherwise, the sound of the battle will attract other experts." Yes. Qin Feng and the rest answered immediately. They all used their secret methods and raised their strength to the maximum. Cloud Devil, there is a saying that goes, "Heaven's sins can be forgiven, but the sins we bring upon ourselves are the hardest to bear." You are courting death. When you see something good, you even attack your own people. A person like you is not worthy of leading a squad. Go die. Currently, Night Sorrow was using the Trayastrimsa battle secret method. In truth, if it wasn't for the sake of winning people's hearts, he would not have said such nonsense. He felt that there was no need to reason with people from the fog. Clan M. Chapter 3108. After shouting, Night Sorrow erupted. While dodging everyone's attacks, he locked onto Qin Feng as his first target. For him, even if he did not use his evil spirit clone, it would not be a problem for him to fight these people. Hence, he did not engage in any fights. After locking onto Qin Feng, Night Sorrow unleashed his Qingshen godly spear art. In less than 10 breaths of time, Qin Feng was completely killed. Qin Feng's soul was completely destroyed. So strong. Seeing Night Sorrow valiantly killing Qin Feng, Cloud Devil started panicking. With his strength, it was impossible for him to kill Qin Feng so easily under such circumstances. But now Night Sorrow had done it. This proved that Night Sorrow was obviously stronger than him. However, now that things had developed to this point, Cloud Devil could no longer admit defeat. He started pondering how he should deal with this situation. After pondering for a bit, he took out his voice transmission stone and spoke into it. Next, together with the others, he started fighting Night Sorrow. At this point, his strategy had changed. Instead of trying to kill Night Sorrow, he started stalling for time. During the battle, he constantly harassed Night Sorrow, but didn't actually attack. Cloud Devil, are you trying to stall for time until reinforcements arrive? After fighting for a while, Night Sorrow had already killed 5 or 6 cultivators. Next he looked at Cloud Devil and asked, "So what if I am? When my brother arrives you will die miserably." Cloud Devil shouted coldly before continuing, "Everyone hold on for a little while longer. Reinforcements will arrive soon." You still want to hold on? How long can you hold on? Night Sorrow roared and began attacking the Cloud Devil in a frenzy. As he attacked, he shouted, "Those who stop, I will spare your life." After he shouted, no one helped Cloud Devil anymore. They could only watch on as he fought Night Sorrow alone. "You trash. When my brother arrives, he will avenge me." Cloud Devil, who had realized that things were not looking good, shouted unwillingly. However, that didn't change his fate of death. It didn't take long for him to be killed by Yi Sorrow. It's obvious that everyone is at peace with each other, and we can just divide the heavenly spirit flower equally. You just had to provoke me. After Night Sorrow killed the Cloud Devil, he collected all the items on its body and stored them in his space grotto heaven. Then he looked towards the others and said, "Although Cloud Fiend is dead, he is still alive." But there was no need for Team Cloud Devil to follow him. "Are you willing to follow me?" "I'm willing." "Of course we're willing." "I'm willing to follow." The remaining cultivators all half knelt on the ground, expressing their willingness to submit. This was no longer as simple as following him. Good. Then make an oath. Night Sorrow didn't believe the cultivators in the foggy area and made them swear an oath. Under such circumstances, the cultivators before him naturally did not have the courage to refute. They immediately swore an oath to the heavens. Then, Night Sorrow began to set up the 5 bulls formation around the heavenly spirit flower. After the formation was completed, he looked at the rest and said, "My formation setting skills are much better than Qinfeng's. Even if the Cloud Devil's friends came, they should be able to deal with them easily. You guys don't have to worry about an enemy attack. Recover from your injuries immediately." "Yes, Captain Night Devil." These cultivators immediately obeyed and started recovering from their injuries. After about half a month, Night Sorrow saw that everyone's injuries were more or less healed. Then he started asking about everything regarding Team Cloud Devil. This included how they had cooperated with Cloud Breath mining area. After clarifying everything, Night Sorrow understood that his killing of the Cloud Devil would not affect the overall situation. Hence, he started waiting for the Heavenly Spirit Flower to fully bloom. However, a year later, before the Heavenly Spirit Flower had fully bloomed, Cloudaville's friends arrived. Night Sorrow had set up the 5 bulls formation and the confinement formation. However, he didn't have the materials to set up a concealment formation with a large enough range. Hence, he could only use the concealment formation to cover the Heavenly Spirit Flower. When Cloudaville's 4 friends arrived, they saw Night Sorrow and Team Cloud Devil within the formation. They immediately understood that Cloud Devil had definitely been killed. The leader of the group, a cultivator with the appearance of a Taoist nun, shouted, "Have you guys killed Cloud Devil? Where is the Heavenly Spirit Flower? What does that have to do with you guys?" Night Sorrow asked disdainfully. He didn't take the 4 upper earthly sovereigns in front of him seriously. In the 5 bulls formation he could even deal with a half-step heavenly sovereign, let alone these people in front of him. However, when they saw the arrival of the 4 cultivators, the rest of Team Cloud Devil appeared extremely flustered. In their opinion, the 4 cultivators in front of them were too powerful. They were not people they could fight against. Hence, they were extremely flustered. While responding to the 4 people in front of him, he transmitted his voice to everyone, "They are just 4 pieces of rubble. I can deal with them easily. You guys don't have to be afraid." Yes, Captain's strength is boundless. When they saw how confident Night Sorrow was, they immediately relaxed. At this moment, the 4 people who had been ridiculed by Night Sorrow were instantly enraged. Especially the Taoist nun who had just spoken. She wanted to attack immediately. However, she was stopped by a fox-headed earthly sovereign beside her. The fox-headed earthly sovereign said, "They have set up a formation. That's why they are so fearless. Don't be rash. Wait until I break the formation. These useless soldiers and crab generals will be easy to kill." After saying that, he began to study the method to break the formation. Why don't I see the Heavenly Spirit Flower? Could it be that Cloud Devil is about to be killed, so he deliberately made up a lie to lure us here? While the fox-headed earthly sovereign was breaking the formation, the Taoist nun said doubtfully, "It should be. Otherwise Cloud Devil wouldn't have died. It might have been concealed by the people inside with a formation." A skinny cultivator with a ruthless scar on his face said. After he finished speaking, the fox-headed earthly sovereign said, "Someone used a formation to conceal the aura of the Heavenly Spirit Flower. But I can smell it. It's inside the formation. Let's kill all these people in front of us and avenge Cloud Devil. If we take the Heavenly Spirit Flower, it will be worth it for him." "You guys are thinking too much." Night Sorrow was inside the formation. When he heard what everyone said, a disdainful smile appeared on his face. These people were about to be killed, but they didn't know it. Just like Cloud Devil, they were still fantasizing about this and that. What a joke. He temporarily closed the formation. The formation is broken. After Night Sorrow closed the formation, the fox-headed earthly sovereign thought that he had broken the formation. With a shout, he rushed in and attacked Night Sorrow. In fact, he had broken one formation. It was an ordinary trapping formation that Night Sorrow had set up. However, he hadn't broken the 5 bulls formation. Seeing the fox-headed earthly sovereign rush in, the other 3 upper earthly sovereigns also rushed into the formation. At this time, Night Sorrow smiled and activated the 5 bulls formation. In an instant, 5 bull roars rang out from the formation. Chapter 3109. Mu. Mi. Ma. And I, moo. After 5 intimidating roars, the 4 experts who had rushed over were immediately shaken out of their wits. In a moment they lost most of their combat strength. How dare you meddle in other people's business and covet the heavenly spirit flower? All of you die here. The 5 bulls formation took effect. In an instant, Night Sorrow took out his black spear and attacked the 4 people in front of him. The other members of the Cloud Devil team didn't need Night Sorrow to say anything and directly attacked. They had been completely shocked by Night Sorrow's methods. While they were shocked by his methods, they completely chose to submit. With everyone's help, Night Sorrow quickly dealt with the 4 people in front of him. After handing them over to Little Seven to absorb, Night Sorrow and the remaining members of the Cloud Devil team waited patiently for the Heavenly Spirit Flower to bloom. While waiting for the Heavenly Spirit Flower, Night Sorrow realized that as the Heavenly Spirit Flower matured, its fragrance was becoming more and more unconcealable. Not only did this attract groups of cultivators, but it also attracted many powerful evil spirits. With the help of the 5 bulls formation, Night Sorrow didn't refuse any of them and killed them all. Furthermore, he used a very secret method to convert the evil spirits into power of merit and absorb them, further increasing his strength. Finally, 3 years and 2 months after the Heavenly Spirit Flower appeared, the Heavenly Spirit Flower gradually bloomed under everyone's gazes. At this moment, there were no other cultivators or evil spirits around. This made the Cloud Devil team very relaxed. The evil servant who had just been appointed as the vice captain by Night Sorrow laughed coldly. No one is coming. It seems that the Heavenly Spirit Flower will definitely be ours. It's not ours. It's Captain Night Devil's. After the evil servant finished speaking, someone immediately retorted. Yes. This is Captain Night Devil's. As long as we can drink the soup. After this person finished speaking, the evil servant immediately changed his words and looked at Night Sorrow's face. Don't be restrained, I'm not that arbitrary. Don't worry, I won't treat you unfairly. Night Sorrow definitely wouldn't give up the Heavenly Spirit Flower. He was prepared to distribute some other resources to everyone. It's open. It has completely blossomed. While Night Sorrow was talking to the members of Team Cloud Devil, the Heavenly Spirit Flower bloomed before their eyes. Very good. I'll go get it. Night Sorrow said as he prepared to take the Heavenly Spirit Flower and put it into his space paradise. However, Baimei Sanrin suddenly said, Brother Night Sorrow, you can't take it directly. Otherwise it will wither. Is there such a thing? Night Sorrow immediately stopped. I've only just thought of this. Firstly, the Heavenly Spirit Flower could be consumed directly, and secondly, it could absorb the land within a radius of 10,000 li. Otherwise it will wither. Baimei Sanrin transmitted his voice to Night Sorrow. He had heard of this matter in his previous life, but he had only just recalled it now. A land with a circumference of 10,000 miles. How deep does that need to be? Night Sorrow asked curiously. He hadn't expected it to be so troublesome to collect the Heavenly Spirit Flower. 10,000 li. Baimei Sanrin continued. I'm afraid it won't be easy to deal with 10,000 li. Night Sorrow said as he activated the sea serpent's eye to observe the surrounding environment. There were no life-bound beasts around the Heavenly Spirit Flower, so it was easy to take it. However, it would involve some formations and creatures in the small world within a radius of 10,000 li, which was a little troublesome. It's all my fault. I've only just thought of this. If not for this, you would have been able to sweep everything within a radius of 10,000 li in 3 years. Baimei Sanrin said guiltily. It's already very timely that you thought of it now. Otherwise we would have wasted a heavenly treasure. Night Sorrow said as he continued to study everything within a radius of 10,000 li. He hadn't noticed it before looking carefully. Below the Heavenly Spirit Flower, 3,000 li away, there was an ancient coffin hidden. This ancient coffin should be made of some kind of divine stone that completely concealed the aura inside. If not for the sea serpent's eye, Night Sorrow wouldn't have been able to discover it just from the aura. There's an ancient coffin below. It might be troublesome. Night Sorrow didn't collect the Heavenly Spirit Flower, which immediately aroused the doubts of the rest of the Cloud Devil squad. After the evil servant asked, Night Sorrow immediately answered and explained the main points of collecting the Heavenly Spirit Flower. There were no threats within a radius of 10,000 li, but he couldn't sense any aura from this ancient coffin. It was precisely because the ancient coffin was unknown that he didn't dare to directly collect it. He was afraid that there was something hidden inside that was difficult to deal with. An ancient coffin? I'll help the captain check it out. After saying that, the evil servant dived into the ground and approached the ancient coffin. Although the evil servant was reckless, Night Sorrow really needed such a subordinate, so he didn't stop him. He activated the sea serpent's eye and observed. After the evil servant dived into the ground, he quickly approached the stone coffin. However, when he was 100 meters away from the stone coffin, the evil servant suddenly couldn't go any further. He attacked, but he couldn't shake the ancient coffin's defense at all. At that moment, Night Sorrow transmitted a message to him. Don't attack. You can't even break the outer defense. There must be something amazing inside. If you rashly alarm it, we might not be able to afford to offend it. Come up. Yes, Captain. The evil servant looked at the ancient coffin with some reluctance and returned to the ground. I'll go down, Night Sorrow said and dived into the ground. After approaching the stone coffin, he didn't do anything. Instead, he observed the array patterns around the stone coffin. The array formation looked very mysterious. It was impossible to tell if it was good or evil. After thinking for a moment, Night Sorrow said, May I know who you are? Today I will collect the heavenly spirit flower. I will collect the stone coffin. If I've disturbed you, please forgive me. After saying that, Night Sorrow returned to the ground and collected everything within a radius of 10,000 li, including the stone coffin. Such a large formation immediately alarmed many cultivators who had come to the small world to look for opportunities. However, these people were all killed by Night Sorrow and the Cloud Devil team, so they didn't pose any threat. In the process of Night Sorrow collecting the heavenly spirit flower, the stone coffin didn't move at all. The aura inside didn't leak out at all. It's somewhat mysterious. Night Sorrow didn't try to attack the array patterns around the stone coffin, but he was sure that he couldn't shake it. So he ignored it. The heavenly spirit flower is in our hands. Let's return to Cloud Breath City. After collecting the heavenly spirit flower, Night Sorrow took out a lot of good things and distributed them to everyone in the Cloud Devil territory. They were very satisfied. Following that, Night Sorrow brought everyone back to the Cloud Devil team's encampment. Just as they arrived at the encampment, Night Sorrow found someone waiting there. This person was the messenger from the Cloud Breath mining area. Seeing that Cloud Devil wasn't around, this person arrogantly asked, Where's Cloud Devil? Let him come out and talk. Captain Cloud Devil has already died in the small world. Now Night Devil is our new captain. After the messenger finished speaking, the evil servant opened his mouth and said, These words were what they had studied in the small world. Stealing incense. Chapter 31:10. What? Cloud Demon is dead? Hearing the evil servant's words, the emissary's face turned even gloomier. Then he said disdainfully, Cloud Demon is dead. What's the use of the rest of you? Quickly disband. How unlucky. If I had known, I wouldn't have made this trip. After muttering to himself, he prepared to leave. Lord Emissary, if there's anything you can tell me. If Cloud Demon can do it, the current Cloud Demon team can do it too. At this moment, seeing that he was about to leave, Night Sorrow immediately spoke. You can do it? With your strength as a sovereign, you can't even defend against the fog in the mining area. What can you do? The emissary of Cloud Breath mining area looked at Night Sorrow and said disdainfully, Lord Emissary, if I didn't have the strength, do you think they would let me be the team leader? Night Sorrow pointed at the evil servant and said, Since they let me be the team leader and didn't let Cloud Demon team disband, this proves that I'm not inferior to Cloud Demon. Otherwise, once Cloud Demon is dead, we would have disbanded long ago. You mean you have the ability to fight across realms? Looking at Night Sorrow, the emissary of Cloud Breath mining area squinted his eyes and asked. Of course, Cloud Demon is no match for me. Night Sorrow continued. He had to enter Cloud Breath mining area. After all, he had already promised to save Qin Qingyun's wife. Ah, Cloud Demon is no match for you? Cloud Demon is an upper earthly sovereign and his strength is not inferior to mine. Not a match for you? Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? The emissary of Cloud Breath mining area snorted in disbelief and continued, Aren't you afraid that the wind will cut your tongue? He didn't believe Night Sorrow's words at all and thought that he was bragging. Since Lord Emissary doesn't believe it, then let's have a spar, right? Whether my strength is enough or not, you will know once you try. Night Sorrow stretched out his hand and made a pleased gesture, directly challenging him. You can challenge me, but I can't control my strength. If you die in my hands, no one will take responsibility. When the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy heard Night Sorrow's challenge, he immediately sneered. Then please enlighten me, Lord Envoy. Night Sorrow was clear that if he did not prove his strength, it would not do. At this time, the other members of the Cloud Devil squad all reminded Night Sorrow that the emissary was very strong, much stronger than the Cloud Devil. Tell Night Sorrow to pay attention. Yishang smiled at this and said, "It's fine. He's no threat to me." He didn't transmit his voice at all. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, the envoy from Cloud Breath Mining Area was completely enraged. Originally he was just a little arrogant, but now his entire body was filled with a dense killing intent. He roared, "You dare to provoke me? Die. An icy cold night. Kill." After the Cloud Breath Mining Area's emissary shouted those words, the surrounding environment immediately turned into an ice-cold night under his control. At the same time, the surrounding flowers, plants, and trees were all sealed by ice. In front of Night Sorrow's eyes, there were already no more members of the Cloud Devil squad. He was clear that this was the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy's divine realm. He immediately used the Sea Serpent's Eye to observe. With one look, he discovered that the other party's divine realm was indeed a little something. The surrounding environment was sealed by his divine realm. The flowers, plants, and trees were indeed already sealed in ice. It was not an illusion. Being inside this divine realm, he discovered that his divine essence energy was not revolving very smoothly. His combat strength was affected to a certain extent. Except, after Night Sorrow released his own divine realm, this stifling feeling instantly vanished into thin air. Just as Night Sorrow was observing the divine realm in front of him, the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy suddenly roared loudly and rushed over from Night Sorrow's flank. Using a battle halberd, he directly stabbed toward his head. Just this level of attack and you also want to kill me? Facing the envoy's battle halberd, Night Sorrow took out the black spear, revolved divine essence energy and fired out a divine spear. The attack power of this spear was on par with the divine finger. After clashing with the envoy's battle halberd, it immediately sent the latter's battle halberd flying. The Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy also directly flew out horizontally. His divine realm was not as powerful as Night Sorrow's divine realm at all and was easily resolved. At the same time, Night Sorrow's divine spear was also much stronger than his ordinary attack. If not for Night Sorrow holding back, there would probably be an additional hole in his body. This is impossible. A middle-rank sovereign has this kind of strength? The Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy, who had always looked down on Night Sorrow in his heart, had a look of disbelief after flying out. He completely did not expect that Night Sorrow could unleash such an attack. Lord Envoy, I said before, my strength is stronger than Cloud Devil. Now do you believe me? Night Sorrow gave the evil servant a glance and made him help the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy up. After being helped up by the evil servant, the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy had a look of rage. Glancing at Night Sorrow, he said, Again. Wasn't that enough to prove my strength earlier? Night Sorrow, who had been smiling all along, had his face completely darkened. I want you to die. As the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy roared, he took out a token and let it float in the void. This is the Cloud Breath token. Seeing the token is equivalent to seeing the Cloud Breath Heavenly Sovereign himself. Seeing the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy take out the Cloud Breath token, the evil servant immediately exclaimed in shock. In Cloud Breath City, the Cloud Breath token was incredible. It was equivalent to an imperial sword that no one dared to resist. Cloud Breath token, what do you mean? Night Sorrow did not know what the Cloud Breath token was and asked doubtfully. The Cloud Breath token can't. The evil servant immediately explained the Cloud Breath token to Night Sorrow. In Cloud Breath Mining Area, there were only a total of 64 envoys who possessed the Cloud Breath token. Every single one of them had a very high status in Cloud Breath City. This envoy in front of him was clearly the same. Now that you know what the Cloud Breath token is, why aren't you obediently accepting your death? How dare you offend me, the envoy? How dare you? After the Cloud Breath Mining Area's envoy took out the Cloud Breath token, his expression turned even more sinister. He looked as though he was destined to kill someone. I respect Lord Cloud Breath, so I'll give you some face. Don't be so shameless. If you continue to pester me endlessly, even Lord Cloud Breath won't be able to save you, let alone the Cloud Breath token. Facing the envoy with the Cloud Breath token, Night Sorrow was not afraid at all and said coldly, Not only did you offend me, the envoy, but you even dare to be disrespectful to my lord. Accept your death." When the Cloud Breath mining area's envoy saw that Night Sorrow had no intention of submitting to him, he immediately threw the Cloud Breath token at Night Sorrow. Initially he only wanted to use the Cloud Breath token as a deterrent. However, Night Sorrow did not indulge him at all, which made him extremely displeased. "Accept my death? You're the one who deserves to die." Against the Cloud Breath token, Night Sorrow fired a shot without hesitation. Clan M. Chapter 31:11. Bastard! How dare you attack the Cloud Breath token? This is treason. Seeing that Night Sorrow actually dared to attack the Cloud Breath token, the envoy of the Cloud Breath mining area roared furiously. "What? You want to kill me? Can't I kill you? Let me tell you, those who provoke me, Night Devil, will definitely die." Night Sorrow roared and used his black spear to smash the Cloud Breath token away. At the same time he shot at the envoy in front of him, wanting to kill him directly. "Captain, you can't. You can't kill the envoy of the Cloud Breath mining area. Otherwise you will attract Lord Cloud Breath's revenge." Seeing that Night Sorrow wanted to kill the envoy, the evil servant immediately tried to dissuade him. "This trash wants to kill me. How can I let him live?" Night Sorrow looked like a devil incarnate. As he spoke, he attacked the envoy again. Seeing that the Cloud Breath token was unable to suppress Night Sorrow, the envoy's expression completely changed. The arrogance on his face disappeared and was replaced with a smile. He said humbly, "Captain Night Devil, this emissary was just testing you, to see if you have the ability. Now that you have passed the test, it proves that the current Cloud Devil team can still accept missions. Why don't we discuss the mission? How about it? Looking at your personality, you are also someone who seeks revenge for the smallest grievance. If I let you go now, you might find someone to deal with me later. I, Night Devil, might as well kill you directly and leave Cloud Breath City immediately." As he spoke, Night Sorrow's black spear was already close to the other party. In fact, he was deliberately controlling his speed. Otherwise, the black spear would have already pierced through the other party. A little impatience spoils great plans. He naturally wouldn't lose control to the point of losing control of his killing intent. His current performance was just to intimidate the envoy in front of him. And his performance had indeed made the envoy of the Cloud Breath mining area completely speechless. When the envoy heard Night Sorrow's words, he continued, "I can swear that I will cooperate with you from now on. I will definitely not target you or anyone in the Cloud Devil team. Captain, let the envoy go." After the envoy said this, the Cloud Devil team immediately tried to persuade him. To them, killing the emissary of Yunshi mining area was a huge mistake. They didn't have the guts. Yes. As the saying goes, it's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. "Captain, please let Lord Envoy go. This is also good for us." The evil servant also tried to persuade him. At this moment, the emissary of Cloud Breath mining area continued, "That's right. Captain Night Demon, please calm down." His tone was already very soft. He was basically begging for mercy. "Yes, swear it. This matter was considered over. Don't cause trouble for my Cloud Demon squad in other ways. Otherwise, I have 100 ways to kill you." Night Sorrow looked at the emissary from Cloud Breath mining area and said coldly. Hearing this, the envoy of the Cloud Breath mining area immediately stood up and said gratefully, "Captain Night Demon, don't worry. In the future, we will definitely cooperate well and strive for a win-win situation. I am the 37th envoy of Cloud Breath mining area. In the future, Captain Night Demon can just call me 37. 37? Good. I'll call you 37 from now on." Night Sorrow said before continuing, "Tell me the details of your cooperation with the Cloud Devil." "Alright. This isn't a secret. Our cooperation will be split 3-7. I-7 Cloud Devil will be the third. But if we cooperate, we can split it 50-50. As number 37 spoke, he adjusted the ratio of the shares. Hearing this, Night Sorrow smiled and said, "You don't do anything and are just an errand boy. You want to get 50%, your appetite is too big. How about this? In the future, Cloud Demon Squad will get 70% and you will get 30%. That's settled." "That's not too good. I still have to bribe the higher-ups. If not, how can we secretly transport the Blackthorn crystals out?" 37 said with a frown. After he said this, the evil servant said, "Captain Night Demon, that's indeed the case. If we don't clear it, we won't be able to leave Cloud Breath mining area normally after we finish mining. Even if we keep things in the grotto heaven, it will be detected? Night Sorrow asked doubtfully. 37 and the evil servant's words sounded an alarm for him. Yes. Cloud Breath mining area has an extremely mysterious array that can detect everything on a cultivator. It can't even keep things in the grotto heaven. The evil servant said with certainty. Then I've been rash. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow looked at 37 and said, since that's the case, let's split it 50-50. But you have to guarantee that we can enter safely. Don't worry. Money makes the world go round. As long as the higher-ups in charge of controlling the array get benefits, they won't check on us. As for Cloud Breath Lord, he doesn't care about the mining area at all. So there won't be any problems. 37 promised solemnly. Alright then, it's settled. I wonder when Cloud Breath mining area will give out the mission? Night Sorrow looked at him and asked. At this moment, 37 gradually relaxed and looked at Night Sorrow. I'm here to give out the mission. If you don't have anything else, you can follow me into Cloud Breath mining area now. Recently, Cloud Breath mining area discovered a huge mine. If there are no accidents, we will have a good harvest. Very good. Then let's move out immediately. Night Sorrow said and continued, but my Cloud Devil team only has these people in front of us. The others might not be reliable. As for entering and exiting Cloud Breath mining area for inspection, he still wasn't sure, but he didn't show it. Yes. The key to doing this is that the people are reliable and there won't be any accidents. Everyone follow me. After saying that, 37 led Night Sorrow and the rest to Cloud Breath mining area. When they reached the entrance of Cloud Breath mining area, he opened the door and not long after, Night Sorrow and the rest were brought into the mining area. The inspection array wasn't activated at all, so it naturally didn't have any effect. Night Sorrow also successfully brought Bai Mei Sanren, Chen Qingyun, Evil Spirit Clone and the rest in. After entering the mining area, 37 flew in front of everyone and led them to a mining area commander. He pointed at Night Sorrow and said, this is the new leader of Cloud Devil Team, Night Devil. He's very reliable. Alright. Leave him to me. You can continue to look for people. This commander directly let 37 leave and then looked at Night Sorrow and said, I'm one of the 10 commanders of Cloud Breath mining area, called Yun Mo. Let's not talk nonsense. I'll bring you to the mining area in a while. You can do your best to mine the mines. But when you leave the mining area, you have to hand over 60% of it to me. Do you understand? 60%? Commander Yun Mo, didn't you take 40% in the past? After Yun Mo spoke, the evil servant immediately asked doubtfully. Bastard. I'm talking to Captain Night Devil. Who do you think you are to interrupt? After the evil servant spoke, Yun Mo immediately shouted angrily. Obviously he was angry. Clan M. Chapter 31:12. Heretic, transmit your voice to me about the rules in the past. After Yun Mo opened his mouth, the heretic immediately shut up. The current him indeed should not butt in. At this time, Night Sorrow transmitted his voice to him, asking about the rules in the past. In reality, Night Sorrow was also putting on an act to make the show more realistic. After all, his true objective was to come and rescue Chen Qingyun's wife, Yang Fan. Following that, the heretic recounted all of the past events. After listening, Night Sorrow looked at Yun Mo and said, Commander Yun Mo, Night Devil has just arrived. Hope that you take care of him. As for the share, let's split 50-50. What do you think? I said 6-4, then it's 6-4. Don't you understand? While Yun Mo had a tough look. Who are you berating? Hearing Yun Mo's words, Night Sorrow's expression immediately turned cold. At the same time he released his divine realm. Originally, he wanted to resolve this matter in front of him properly. But staying in the fog area for a long time, his temper was naturally very great. Unconsciously he burst out. So what if I berated you? Could it be that you all, these mercenaries, still want to take action in Cloud Breath mining area? Yun Mo looked at Night Sorrow with a disdainful look. That appearance was simply identical to 37. Taking Yun Mo's performance into his sights, Night Sorrow said with a cold smile, 37 thought the same as you earlier. Now he's also well behaved. I think that you want to be the same as him and undergo a transformation. Are you provoking this commander here? Don't want to live anymore, is it? Yun Mo naturally discerned Night Sorrow's intention of wanting to take action. Similarly, the heretic and the rest also discerned it and immediately started mediating. To them, Cloud Breath Mining Area was absolutely a leviathan and could not be easily offended. It was fine if Night Sorrow made a move against 37. At this time, he was also preparing to take action in Cloud Breath Mining Area. This scared them badly. You all don't need to be afraid. Making a living in the fog area, it all depends on strength to speak. We're not afraid of him. Night Sorrow said a sentence to the few people under him, then looked at Yunemo and said, "So what if I provoke you? Bastard. Courting death." After Night Sorrow finished speaking, Yunemo immediately threw a punch at him. He was so angry that he didn't even summon his divine artifact. He wanted to punch Night Sorrow to death. But how could this be? Although Yunemo was considered strong among the upper earthly sovereigns, he was still lacking compared to Night Sorrow. At the same time, Night Sorrow also threw a punch. They collided head-on with each other. Boom. Yunmo's body was directly sent flying out. He crawled a few times before he finally got up. At this time Yunemo said furiously, "Fine. Very good." At the same time he began to summon his subordinates. Not long after, more than 30 armored warriors were summoned. These armored soldiers were all Yunmo's subordinates and were usually in charge of supervising the work. They were all at the level of earthly sovereigns. There were lower earthly sovereigns and middle earthly sovereigns. Kill all of them. After summoning the armored soldiers, Yunemo ordered. Obviously, he felt that he had been greatly offended. Who dares to stop me? Hearing Yunmo's words, Night Sorrow immediately used the 33 Heavens Battle Mystic technique. Holding the black spear in his hand, he attacked Yunemo. Seeing him attack, Yunmo's subordinates naturally stepped in to stop him. Facing these people, Night Sorrow directly summoned the evil spirit doppelganger and used the Qingshen godly spear technique to kill them. Not long after, he was in front of Yunemo. At this time, not only was Yunemo dumbfounded, but everyone in Yunmo's team was also dumbfounded. They didn't expect Night Sorrow to be so strong. Especially the evil spirit doppelganger that he summoned. The heavenly sovereign aura completely stunned everyone in front of him. Without heavenly sovereign Yunshi here, you are nothing. I didn't want to fight with you and just wanted to mine and earn some blackthorn crystals, but you just had to provoke me. Standing in front of Yunemo, Night Sorrow roared and pierced his chest with his spear. The evil spirit doppelganger blocked Yunmo's subordinates and instantly took control of the situation. How dare you? I will definitely report today's matter to heavenly sovereign Yunshi. Just wait to be completely destroyed. Looking at Night Sorrow and then at the evil spirit doppelganger, Yunemo shouted in rage. At this time he felt too humiliated, but he was already completely controlled by Night Sorrow. He even lost the ability to take out the voice transmission stone. Always using Heavenly Sovereign Yunshi to suppress others. Could it be that without Heavenly Sovereign Cloud Breath, you are a complete piece of trash? Night Sorrow controlled the evil spirit doppelganger to say this. At this time, everyone present didn't know that he was Night Sorrow's doppelganger. They thought that he was Night Sorrow's helper behind the scenes. He is a piece of trash and a greedy piece of trash. Yi Shang, on the other hand, had Yunemo completely under his control. He ordered, "Call all of your miners here. Make them listen to my control." The aura that Night Sorrow displayed was clearly that he wanted to do something big. In reality, he wanted to see if Qin Qingyun's wife, Yang Fan, was among Yunmo's subordinates. Stop dreaming. Heavenly Sovereign Yunshi will not let you off. In Yunmo's opinion, Night Sorrow wanted to directly let his subordinates mine and then take it for himself. Under such circumstances, he sternly refused. I think you won't cry until you see the coffin. Originally, Night Sorrow's plan was to slowly search for Yang Fan after entering the mining area. However, during the confrontation with Yunemo, he suddenly had the idea of domineering and investigating. He thought to himself that since Heavenly Sovereign Yunshi wasn't here, no one could defeat the evil spirit doppelganger. Doing so could be considered acting according to the situation and wouldn't expose his true motive. Furthermore, he felt that these commanders would usually not alarm Heavenly Sovereign Yunshi and let him come personally. After all, there was a lot of profit in this cloud breath mining area. Their butts were not clean. If those things were exposed because of this matter, the gains would not make up for the losses. Therefore, even if he suffered a loss, Yunemo should also swallow it down. While talking, Night Sorrow directly chopped off Yunmo's left hand. He said, "Are you going to do it or not? If you're not willing to do it 50-50, I'll make you not even get 10%. Not even a single blackthorn crystal." I won't do it. If you have the capability, kill me. Yun Mo's mouth was very stubborn, but at this time Night Sorrow attacked again and chopped off his right hand again. Following that, he simply ignored Yun Mo. Looking at Yun Mo's subordinates, he said, "You guys go and find all the people below. From today onwards, Yun Mo, this person no longer exists. However, your share will be doubled. Do as I say and you guys won't be shortchanged." Yun Mo was incomparably greedy. Night Sorrow judged that his subordinates should have been squeezed dry by him too. It should not be hard to persuade. This commander wants to see who dares to rebel. After Night Sorrow spoke, Yun Mo shouted again. His shout was still very intimidating. The armored soldiers who were originally somewhat restless all became well-behaved. "What are you all paying attention to a dead person for?" At this time, Night Sorrow swept the black spear horizontally, directly piercing through Yun Mo's dantian and crushing his divine soul. After that he said, "Yun Mo is already dead. You guys can go and do what you should do now. Heavenly Sovereign Yun Shi isn't here, let's all get rich together." Clan M. Chapter 31:13. Commander Mo Yun has actually been killed. What should we do? Witnessing the scene of Yun Mo being killed with their own eyes, some of the soldiers present were instantly stunned. To them, the 10 commanders were the heavens of Cloud Breath mining area when Cloud Breath Heavenly Sovereign was not around. At this moment, Yun Mo, one of the 10 commanders, was actually killed directly. This was a huge matter that pierced through the heavens. No one present could calm down their emotions. "You just have to follow me. Yun Mo is dead. Our chance has come. Everyone go and gather all of Yun Mo's subordinates here. We will divide the work again." Night Sorrow roared and got the Cloud Demon team to supervise Yun Mo's subordinates and make them swear not to betray him. Under the control of the Cloud Demon team, Yun Mo's subordinates quickly obeyed. They also began to organize and gather everyone here. Soon about 1/10 of the people in Cloud Breath mining area were gathered. Among these people, there was the team that Yun Mo had contacted and the enslaved miners of Cloud Breath mining area. Seeing them appear, Night Sorrow did not waste any time and got Qin Qingyun to search for his wife, Yang Fan. However, after looking through everyone, Qin Qingyun said disappointedly, "My wife is not among them." "Alright. Let's let them work steadily first. After all, these blackthorn crystals are good stuff in the fog. We can get more of them." Night Sorrow was slightly disappointed when he heard that Yang Fan's whereabouts were not among them. However, this was only about 1/10 of the people in Cloud Breath mining area. It was normal that she was not among them. He thought for a moment and asked, "Do you have a list of names of the miners here?" "Yes. Commander Yun Mo has it." After Night Sorrow finished asking, one of the soldiers in Cloud Breath mining area spoke up. "Alright, let me take a look." Night Sorrow found Yun Mo's interspatial ring from his corpse and started to look for the list of names. However, after using his divine will and the interspatial ring, Night Sorrow discovered a large number of blackthorn crystals. He estimated that there were about 30 million of them. Furthermore, there were some that were obviously of better quality than normal blackthorn crystals. Piled together, they looked crystal clear and gave off a faint black light. As expected of one of the commanders of Cloud Breath mining area, he really has a lot of blackthorn crystals on him. Night Sorrow sighed and continued to search for the name list. Soon he found it. On the roster, every miner had a name and a number. After checking, Yang Fan was indeed not among them. Are these miners usually called by numbers? After confirming that Yun Mo did not have Yang Fan under him, Night Sorrow immediately summoned one of Yun Mo's soldiers and asked, "Yes, Lord Night Demon." The armored soldier replied. "In the mining area, how can you find someone by name?" Night Sorrow looked at him and asked. As for how to find Yang Fan, he was constantly thinking of ways to do so. Lord Night Demon. If they wanted to find out about a person by name, they could only go through the roster in the hands of the commanders. That's because everyone usually addresses each other with numbers. No one uses their names here. The armored soldier replied and asked, "Lord Night Demon, are you looking for someone in the mine?" "Yes. I want to save a friend." Night Sorrow replied. He had no intention of hiding this matter, because these armored soldiers in front of him could be controlled by him. If Lord simply wants to save a person, I have a way. This armored soldier, upon hearing a definite answer, immediately continued. "What is it? Say it. If it's effective, I'll reward you with 1,000,000 blackthorn crystals." Night Sorrow looked at this armored soldier and said slowly, It's actually very simple. As long as Lord is willing to fork out enough blackthorn crystals, you can naturally buy it from the other commanders. In Cloud Breath Mining Area, there's a special existence. He can contact any commander. As long as he helps, it should be easy to complete this matter. The armored soldier looked at Yi Shang and enunciated each word clearly. Who is the person you're talking about? Where is he? Night Sorrow asked. To him, dealing with one person was definitely easier than dealing with the entire Cloud Breath Mining Area. Now that he had entered Cloud Breath Mining Area and controlled Yun Mo's businesses, he wanted to temporarily suppress this matter. At the same time, he wanted to find Yang Fan. At that time, he would bring the person and the blackthorn crystals away. According to his estimation, these commanders of Cloud Breath Mining Area should not wish for Lord Cloud Breath to descend. Therefore, if the matter did not escalate, they would not summon him. After Night Shang asked, the armored soldier replied, Lord Night Demon, I'm not going to give you a reply. This person is the patrol inspector of the mining area. The patrol inspector, also known as the mobile patrol inspector, checks the various commanders on behalf of Lord Cloud Breath. However, he's extremely greedy and has long been bribed by the various commanders to wear the same pants as them. How can I contact this patrol inspector? Night Sorrow immediately asked. Very simple, Commander Yun Mo has a voice transmission stone to contact him. You can find him if you look carefully. After the armored soldier finished speaking, he continued, however, it's best if you don't tell him that you killed Lord Cloud Breath. If he knows about this matter, he might report it to Lord Cloud Breath. You mean to trick him into coming here? How do I do that? Night Sorrow looked at the other party and asked. Simple. He loves money. Just say that there's a mutated blackthorn crystal in Commander Yun Mo's mining area. Commander Mo Yun is already rushing over. You just have to inform him and trick him over. The armored soldier said with a smile on his face. You can do it. After the armored soldier finished speaking, Night Sorrow's face revealed a trace of a smile. Then he found Yun Mo's voice transmission stone and communicated with the patrol inspector. This patrol inspector was called Yun Lan. Night Sorrow did not say much and he was persuaded. He did not think that this was a scam at all. After communicating with Patrol Inspector Yun Lan, Night Sorrow looked at the armored soldier in front of him and handed him a spatial ring, saying, You're a talent. This is a reward of 1,000,000, take it. This lowly one is afraid and does not dare to take Sir's things. Seeing Night Sorrow hand over the spatial ring, the armored soldier immediately knelt on the ground, not daring to take it at all. Don't be afraid. I said to let everyone get rich together, so we'll get rich together. I'm not testing you. Night Sorrow said a sentence and handed over the spatial ring in his hand again. This time, the armored soldier received the spatial ring in a state of panic. Using divine essence energy to check, indeed he discovered no less than 1,000,000 blackthorn crystals in the spatial ring. He immediately knelt on the ground and said gratefully, Many thanks for Sir's gift. In the future I'll follow Sir everywhere. Yun Mo's token, I'll hand it to you. You go and manage the people below well. Although Yun Mo is dead, the mine still needs to be mined normally. Night Sorrow handed Yun Mo's token to the armored soldier and waited for Patrol Inspector Yun Lan's arrival with peace of mind. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.